So getting started with email marketing with ActiveCampaign is now simpler than ever. And in this video tutorial, I'll walk you through the entire process of setting up your ActiveCampaign account to kickstart your earnings with email marketing. So this video tutorial is packed with beginner, but also intermediate tips, tricks, and strategies for using ActiveCampaign for email marketing. So I will dive into some features such as the split testing automation feature or the ActiveCampaign's sales tools that are only available on the professional marketing plan or the bundle plans, so the sales and marketing bundle plans. So if you're ready, let's explore what we'll cover in this video tutorial. So firstly, if you're beginning from zero, I'll guide you on how to sign up for ActiveCampaign. It's not that difficult, but I'll show you anyway. We'll then add authentication for our custom domain email address. So this step is crucial, especially since Gmail and Yahoo introduced new sender requirements on February 1, 2024. You probably have heard of it already, but I'll explain how to do that in this video tutorial. So once we've met Google's email sender standards, we'll move on to importing contacts into our ActiveCampaign database. So I'll show you how to do that as well. So the next thing is we'll link webinar software with ActiveCampaign. So the reason I'm showing you how to integrate a webinar software with ActiveCampaign is because later in the tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to create a webinar registration page with ActiveCampaign. And we'll also explore how to segment your audience and send targeted emails based on whether they attended your webinar or not. And keep in mind, this is just a random example, of course. So even if webinars aren't part of your business strategy or you're not using webinars to attract new customers, this section will still be valuable for understanding some of these ActiveCampaign features. So then it's time for the exciting part of this tutorial, which is the email marketing automation features. So I will provide examples of using the professional plan split automation feature. And I will also be delving into A/B testing. So you've probably heard of A/B testing and you might be already be using A/B testing, but I know for a matter of fact that not every marketer understands the principles of effective A/B testing, which is actually crucial for an A/B test. So I'll go over that in this tutorial as well. So next up, we'll also be looking at delivering lead magnets and ensuring your opt-in forms are GDPR-compliant, which are the European privacy laws, which are the most strict in the entire world. So following the GDPR rules is pretty important, even though they can be pretty strict. And remember, not following these GDPR rules, especially if you're a bigger company, can result in big fines, sometimes millions of euros, depending on your annual revenue. So another unique tactic we'll explore in this video tutorial is to automatically remove inactive contacts from your list, saving you money on unengaged subscribers, and it will also keep your list way healthier. So towards the end of this video tutorial, we'll discuss the site tracking feature available in all ActiveCampaign plans, including the cheapest one, the Lite plan. So this tool, the site tracking feature, enables you to send automated emails to visitors that visited specific web pages on your website. So it's pretty cool. I'll show you how to set this up effectively, including some great case studies. So finally, the last part, as you also see in the timestamps down below in the description, we'll examine ActiveCampaign's sales features, so including its CRM and pipeline tools. So I'll be using a real-life coaching business as an example, which is pretty cool. And I will demonstrate automating CRM tasks for booking calls with you or your sales team. So I understand not everyone is at the same point in their ActiveCampaign journey. So please check out the timestamps down below in the description to find the parts of this tutorial that are most relevant to you. Also, I'm not sure if you're familiar with my newsletter, but from time to time I share stuff about ActiveCampaign on this YouTube channel or on my website. But if you're interested, you can sign up for my free newsletter to get updates on these updates basically. So do keep in mind, I don't send weekly emails, so it might be a bit before you hear from me, but when you do, it'll be worth the wait. So let's get started with this ActiveCampaign video tutorial. So to start a 14-day free trial with ActiveCampaign, please go to this link, so creatorac.com/AC. So that link will also be the first link in this video description. So if you use my link to sign up for an ActiveCampaign account, you're basically helping me out because I get a referral fee from ActiveCampaign if you decide to sign up for ActiveCampaign using my link at no extra cost to you. And receiving those referral fees from ActiveCampaign basically allows me to publish these videos as this for free instead of bundling them in a course and charging for it. So thanks for helping me out if you want to use my link. So to get started, just simply enter your email address over here, click on get started, enter your name and your phone number. How many contacts do you have in your list? I'm going to choose the 500, less than 500. How many employees do you have? What industry is your business in? Are you currently using any of these popular CRM tools? I'm going to skip this one. So I'm going to say next step. I'm going to choose a password and then click on take me to my account. I'm going to click on close here. So this is my ActiveCampaign dashboard. If I click on my name over here at the bottom left corner, and here you can see that I'm on a trial plan. If you click billing and upgrade, and if we go to usage, you can see here the trial plan. So this plan limits you to 100 contacts and 1 user. So starting from February 1, 2024, Google and Yahoo will start applying their new rules for email senders. So one of the requirements is that we now must have a custom domain email address. So prior to these Gmail and Yahoo updates, like before February 1, it also wasn't advised to use a free email address like a Gmail for sending newsletters. But now, since February 1, the likelihood of your newsletters ending up in the spam folder of your subscribers is even higher if you use a free email address. So it's really easy to add a new email address inside ActiveCampaign, and I'll show you how to do it. And also good to note, if you don't have a custom domain email address yet, you can buy one over at hover.com. So to add a new email address inside your ActiveCampaign account, you go to settings, then you're going to click on advanced, and over here you can add a new email address. So I already have my info@creatorac.com email address inside this account. So I'm just going to add, for example purposes, I'm going to add this Gmail account. I'm going to click on submit. So now an email has been sent to verify this domain. So you will now receive this email. So please verify your domain. You're going to click on verify. And now this email address is verified inside your ActiveCampaign account. So another way to do this is if you just go to campaigns, and if you click on create a campaign, so this is just a regular newsletter we're going to create. Just going to call it test, click on next. So we have to select a list. I'm just going to select this one, click on next, text only, start from scratch. And over here you can see that you can change the from email address here as well. So if you add an email address inside this from email address field that is not inside your ActiveCampaign account yet, you will also need to verify that email address like we just did with the previous email address. So let's say I add this email address. So this is also my domain. I'm going to click test, and then I'm going to click continue. I'm going to click on the next. And now you can see your domain needs to be verified. So here we can send the verification email. So this is basically the second way to add a new email address inside your ActiveCampaign account. So this email address will now also be, if we click on save and exit, it will also be in that settings tab we were previously. So if I refresh this page, here you can see the second email address right here. But it's not verified yet because I didn't do that verification method yet. So as I mentioned before, starting from February 1, 2024, Google and Yahoo will start applying their new rules for email senders. And one of the requirements is that DKIM, DMARC, and SPF authentication is now required. So it sounds really technical, but in the following minutes, I will explain how to do this step by step, and I'll also explain how to test it, whether it works or not. So that is really important to do as well. So let's go. So to get started with the email authentication, you're going to go to settings over here, and then you're going to click on advanced, and then you'll see this advanced settings page over here. So the default setting is ActiveCampaign manages deliverability and authentication for me, and we will change it to this one. I will manage my own email authentication. So the next step is to open your DNS host, so the one that is hosting your website. And if you don't know who's hosting your website, you can go to this website, so dnschecker.org/ns lookup. I'll leave a link down below in the description to this website. So I'm gonna enter my website over here, and I'm going to click on Show NS Records. As you can see, my website is hosted at cloudflare.com. So I'm going to open Cloudflare to change some settings in there. So I'm going to log in. So if you have a different DNS host, it will look a little bit different for you. So I'm going to log in to Cloudflare. I'm going to click on login. And then over here, we have the creatorac.com. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on DNS over here. So again, if you have a different hosting, it'll look a little bit different in your situation, but you have to look for DNS somewhere inside your dashboard. I'm going to click on DNS. And then over here, we have all the records inside my DNS records tab. So the next step is that I'm going to click on add a new record over here. As for the type, I'm going to use CNAME. So I'm going to select CNAME, and then we have to fill in a name and a target. So for these values, we're going to go back to ActiveCampaign. So the ActiveCampaign tab over here. And here we have the CNAME 1. I'm going to click on the copy to clipboards. I'm going to go back to Cloudflare and I'm going to paste it in over here. And then I'm going to go back to ActiveCampaign again. And I'm going to copy this here. I'm going to click on copy to clipboards. I'm going to go back to Cloudflare and I'm going to paste that in here as well. Next, I'm going to click on save. So now we have the first CNAME added. We're going to go back to ActiveCampaign and I'm going to copy the second one. So I'm going to click on copy to clipboards. I'm going to go back to Cloudflare and I'm going to click on add a new record. I'm going to go to CNAME again. I'm going to paste in the value I just copied. I'm going to go back to ActiveCampaign. I'm going to copy the second part over here, copy to clipboard. I'm going to go back to Cloudflare and I'm going to paste in that value here as well. And then I'm going to click on save. So now we added both values, as you can see. And one thing to keep in mind is that we should change the proxy to DNS only. So I didn't do that just now. So you need to click on edit if you haven't done that already. So the proxy status should be DNS only. So not proxy, but DNS only. Then you click save. So both should be on DNS only. And then if you go back to settings, advanced, and fill in your domain name over here and click on check DNS, it'll show whether or not the DNS settings is set up properly. So I'm going to click on check DNS and you can see the DNS is set up correctly. So let's do a quick test. If I go to campaigns, click on create a campaign. I'm going to select the standard one and I'm going to click on next. I'm going to call it DKIM test. This is the list I'm going to send it to. I'm going to click on create with email designer. I'm just going to select a random email over here. I'm going to select this one, select. I just want to see if the DKIM is working. I'm going to click on next and I'm going to send this campaign right now. Send now. Send to 4 contacts. Yes, that's correct. Send now. So this is the campaign we just sent. And as you can see right now, it says signed by creator.act.com. And that is the DKIM that is working right now. So if we go back to an earlier email, so this is an earlier email, as you can see right here, 1 day ago. So if we click on this icon over here, you can see signed by, which is the ActiveCampaign server. So if we go back to this email here, you can see it's signed by creator.act.com. So this is the correct way to set up the DKIM. So then the next step is to set up the DMARC. So I'll leave a link down below in the description if you want to read this yourself, but I'll show you how to do it. So if we scroll down a little bit over here, you will see we have a recommended initial DMARC policy below. So as you can see, they explain we have to add a text record. So this is what we will do. So we're going to go back to our DNS records. I'm going to click on add a new record and I'm going to use the type. And then for the type, I'm going to use a text record. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to select the text records. I'm going to go back to the ActiveCampaign page and here they write you can set it up by creating a text record with a host or name of DMARC. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to copy this and we're going to paste it into our DNS records. So that is the name. And then for the content, so we're going to go back to the ActiveCampaign part over here. And this is the content. So we're going to copy this entire line over here. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to Cloudflare, my DNS settings, and I'm going to paste that in here. And then we have to change this email address with our email address. So I'm going to enter my email address over here. And then I'm also going to add this comment for myself for future references. So I know what this DNS record is. And just a little explanation of what this DMARC record actually does. So this first part over here indicates the version of the DMARC. Then this part is the policy. So now we have set it to policy is none. So the policy none basically tells Gmail, for example, so a receiving email server to not take any specific action against emails that fail the DMARC authentication test. And if we have a look at the Gmail sender guidelines, so if we scroll down a little bit, so this is starting February 2024. If we scroll down a little bit, and here we can see the DMARC authentication requirement. So it says your DMARC enforcement policy can be set to none. So that is exactly what we just did over here. So this part is the percentage. So the DMARC policy we have set over here will be applied to 100% of the emails. And then we have this last part over here. And this part is not required. You can also just remove it. But what this part does, so let's say there is an email address in your newsletter database, for example, a Gmail email address. And if that Gmail server is set up to send DMARC reports, so report of the DMARC, they will send the report to this email address. So what does this DMARC report tell you? So it basically tells you two things. So who's getting your emails? So it lists which email servers like Gmail, Yahoo, etc. are receiving emails from your newsletters or your domain. And the second thing it tells you is the email authentication results. So it shows you whether your emails are passing or failing the checks for email authenticity. So in plain English, this means it tells you if these servers think your emails are legitimate or possibly fake/spam. And do keep in mind, as ActiveCampaign also explains it over here, so DMARC reports are sent in an XML format and they're pretty tough to read. So what you can do to read your DMARC reports is to use servers like this. So this is a DMARC digest servers. This basically reads your DMARC reports. So this is also owned by ActiveCampaign, as you can see. So in this image, you can see an example. So here you can see the different sources. So for example, Google, Outlook, Yahoo, and here you can see whether or not they pass the DMARC test, the SPF test, and the DKIM test. So I'm going to click on save. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to test it again. So I'm going to send a test campaign. I'm going to select this list and I'm going to segment it. I'm going to create a new segment and I only want to send it to my email address. So this email address, I'm going to click on done. There's only one contact and I just selected a random email and I'm going to click on send now. Send now. Your campaign is being sent. So this is the email. And I'm going to click on these three dots over here and I'm going to click on show original. And now we have a DMARC pass, as you can see over here. And if I do Control F and I search on DMARC, you can also see the DMARC setting over here. So P is none. And then lastly, one other thing, we have the mailed by content, as you can see over here. So from my understanding, it's not required or necessary to change this. Like this is now the ActiveCampaign server. And it is possible to change this to your own domain. But from my understanding, it is not necessary to do so to follow the Gmail and Yahoo rules. And also one other thing, if you do want to change this, so the mail by content, it means you have to create a custom domain name server. So a custom mail server domain, as they call it with ActiveCampaign. So I'll leave a link down below in the description to this article on ActiveCampaign. But the important thing to keep in mind is that this is only available on the enterprise, so on the marketing enterprise pricing plan. So it is not available on the Lite Plus or professional plan. So then lastly, we're going to set up the SPF, so the sender policy framework. So if we go to the email sender guidelines from Google, so the email sender guidelines that are starting February 2024. And if we scroll down a little bit here, we can see the requirements for sending 5,000 or more messages per day. So the first requirement, as you can read over here, is to set up the SPF and the DKIM. So if we click on requirements for all senders, here it says set up SPF or DKIM. So for 5,000 or more, it is the and. So we have to do SPF and the DKIM. So to set up the SPF, we also have to add a new DNS record. So I'm going to open Cloudflare again. And then inside ActiveCampaign, you're going to click on the settings tab over here and then advanced, scroll down a little bit. And here you can see the SPF. And then in this field, we have to enter our domain name. So creatorrag.com. I'm going to click on generate. So the first thing, so it is a text record. So that's what we'll add in the DNS records over here in Cloudflare. So I'm going to copy this first record name. I'm going to go to Cloudflare and I'm going to click on add a new record. I'm going to select the text record and for the name, I'm going to use the creatorrag.com. I'm going to go back to ActiveCampaign and I'm going to copy this part over here and I'm going to paste that into the content. I think we have to delete this and I'm going to add a comment for myself for future references. And then you're going to click on save. So let me quickly explain what this SPF record actually does. So the first thing you have to remember that the bottom line of an SPF record basically a security measure that specifies which email service are authorized to send emails on behalf of creatorrag.com. That's basically the bottom line of an SPF record. So this first part over here specifies the version used of the SPF. So what the include EMS d1.com part does is essentially allow email service from the domain ems.com to send emails on behalf of my domain creatorrag.com. So adding include emsd1.com to our SPF record means we trust emails from ems.com as they have our permission to send emails from us. That's basically what this line does. So then we have the last part over here, which is the all, and this is also called a soft fail mechanism. So if there are emails sent from our email address info@creatorrag.com that are not included in this server list, so this part of the SPF record doesn't automatically block those emails. It flags them as suspicious, so that email might end up in spam. That's possible. So the bottom line of the SPF record is basically that it is possible that someone sends an email from our address, so info@creatorrag.com, from an unlisted server that that isn't included in this list. So this part of the SPF record helps in identifying those emails and basically advises receiving service, like for example a Gmail server, to treat those emails with caution. So do not immediately block those emails, but treat them with caution. And at first I also was like, okay, can someone send an email from my email address, info@creatorhack.com, without knowing my password? And yes, that is possible. That's called email spoofing. So you can Google email spoofing to know more about it if you want, but yes, that is possible. So with email spoofing, that hacker or spammer, however you want to call it, they send emails that now appear to be from you, but they don't actually have access to your email account, right? So they can send emails on your behalf with your email address, but they don't have access to your account. So this stuff is a pretty complex topic. And if you want, I can dedicate an entire video to it. So let me know down below in the comments if you want me to do that. But it's all basically, so if you added the DKIM, the SPF and the DMARC into your DNS settings for ActiveCampaign, you're good to go for the new Gmail and Yahoo rules that are going into effect from February 1, 2024. I will now show you how to add new contacts to your ActiveCampaign account. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on contacts, and then over here you can click on import if you want to import multiple contacts. So for example, I created this Google Docs and I added 2 example contacts. So these are both my email addresses. So we got a column A for the name. Column B, it's called email address. Column C, I added country. And column D, I added a phone number. You can add as many columns as you want, by the way. So in this example, I've used 4 columns. So when you're in your ActiveCampaign account, you can click on import over here, but you can also click on add a contact. So if you want to manually add one individual contact, you're going to do it with this button over here, add a contact. But in this case, we're going to do the bulk import, and we're going to use a CSV file to import these contacts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on file over here, and then I'm going to click on download and then CSV file. So comma separate values. So it is now downloaded, and now I can upload this file into ActiveCampaign. So I'm going to click on import from file. So I've selected the file and now it is imported into ActiveCampaign. And now we're going to do the mapping part. So the name, so which is the first column over here, we need to connect it with the first name. So as you can see, ActiveCampaign already connected it with the first name. So this is correct. And we have the email address. So that is the column B. And over here, you can see it already maps it to the email address, which is also correct. And next we have the country, and as you can see, it says do not import this field. And the reason it is saying this is because there is no country custom field yet inside your ActiveCampaign account. So we have to create a new field. So normally you could do it with add new fields. So you can create a new custom field, as you can see over here. But since we're trying to add the country, I'm not sure this is the right way to do it. I think you have to create the country custom field first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the country custom field separately before importing these contacts. So in this case, we're going to go to fields. Here we can see our current fields and we can add new fields. As you can see, country is not here yet. So I'm going to click on add new fields. I'm going to give this field the name country. I'm going to select the drop down and I'm going to click on add. I'm going to edit this custom field by clicking on this pencil icon over here, and I'm going to click on show advanced. So over here we have the option to add all countries, or for example US states. So in this case we want the country, so I'm going to click on countries, and as you can see we now added all the countries by an instant click on that button. So that saves us a lot of time. So I'm going to remove these 3 options. So 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to remove those. I'm going to scroll down. So we can select the default value. So for example, let's say the default value is the United States. We want it visible on the forms, and then I'm going to click on save. So now we added the custom field country. So let's go back to contacts and import the CSV file again. I'm going to click on import from file. I'm going to select the CSV file. So as you can see right now, the country custom field now is mapped to country. So now it does work. So the rest is fine. The phone number over here also maps to the correct custom field phone. And then we need to select a list. So I only have one list. If you have numerous lists, you can select the list you want. I'm going to select this one. And if we want, we can add tags to the contacts we're going to add to this particular list. So let's say you want to import context from a particular event, or let's say you're switching from one particular email service provider, for example, MailChimp, to ActiveCampaign. I do suggest you add a tag over here that says MailChimp or event X and then on a certain date. So then you always know where these contacts come from. And this is a pretty handy feature. Update existing contacts while importing. So let's say you have a pretty big list from a certain event. Maybe there are contacts on that list that you already have in your account. You can just click this one, update existing contacts while importing. So for example, if that particular contact is already in your list, this tag will be added to that contact if that's the only thing that changed for that particular contact. And then I'm going to click on import. So this took only 2 seconds. Maybe if you have a really large list, it'll take a little bit more time. But in this particular example, I only had 2 contacts, so it was 2 seconds. So in the next section, I'm going to cover a few different things. So first, we'll start by linking a webinar software called Demio to ActiveCampaign. And this might seem a bit out of the blue. And if you're not interested in webinars, feel free to skip this first step. The reason I'm including it, because later we'll be using Demio to create a webinar registration page right inside ActiveCampaign. And I'll also be using the webinar case study as an example when explaining how to segment your audience with ActiveCampaign. So we'll divide our list into 2 groups, those who attended the webinar and those who did not attend the webinar. So I find that using real-world examples helps me learn something way faster, and it's also more fun in my opinion. And hopefully you find that as well. So to connect a webinar software like Demio with ActiveCampaign, so there are obviously many webinar software. So in my case, I'm using Demio in this tutorial. So I'm going to connect the 2, so ActiveCampaign with Demio, and I'll show you how to do that. So you can then integrate Demio into your landing pages of ActiveCampaign to send traffic to that landing page and then generate signups for your webinar. So inside Demio, you're going to go to the top right corner over here, and then you're going to go to settings, and then you're going to go to integrations. And then as you can see, they have multiple integrations also with MailChimp, for example. So in this case, we're going to use ActiveCampaign. So I'm going to click on the logo of ActiveCampaign over here. So now you get this pop-up and they ask you for the ActiveCampaign API URL and the key. So to get this information, you're going to go back to ActiveCampaign. You're going to go to settings. You're going to go to developer. And then over here, you can see the URL, API, and the key. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to Demio. I'm going to paste it over here. And I'm going to copy the API key. I'm going to click on copy. I'm going to go back to Demio. I'm going to paste in the key. And I'm going to click on connect. So that's it. The API integration has been successfully created. So it's pretty easy. So let's create an example event. So I'm going to click on events over here. I'm going to click on add new events. And let's say you're doing a weekly webinar. In this case, we're going to choose the standards one. So I'm going to call this event e-commerce business owners. So that's my target audience. So when is this event happening? I'm going to enter a date over here. So let's say it's next week, January 16. So we can set a time. I'm going to keep it at default over here. I'm going to click on create events. So I'm going to have a look at the registration page for this webinar. So I'm going to click on customize the registration page. I'm going to click on customize. So this is the default Demio registration page for your webinar. So as of now, as you can see, it is a really basic landing page. If we go back to the Demio tab over here, we can customize the registration page to our liking. So you can tweak it a little bit, but still the features of this landing page builder is relatively basic compared to some other landing page builders. You do have the option, if you click on share, you can embed, so you can inline embed these fields over here into a third-party software like ActiveCampaign, for example. If you want to use ActiveCampaign's landing pages, there's also a pop-over embed option. So if you, for example, only want to use a button, you can click on it and then there will be a pop-up, something like this. I won't dive into too much detail over here because this isn't a Demio tutorial. So let's say we want to use ActiveCampaign's landing page builder for the registration page for our webinar. So we're going to create a landing page. We're going to click on website, and then over here, we're going to click on pages, and then you're going to click on add a new page. So there are a few examples you can choose from. So they have a couple of templates. As you can see, these are thank you pages. So thank you for signing up. You can click on preview if you want to check it out. But in this case, we're looking for a registration page for our webinar registration page. You can also choose a blank template over here. So in this example, I'm going to use the announcement layout. So I'm going to click on use this layout, use this template. I'm going to give it a name. So e-commerce webinar. I'm I'm going to click on save. So as you can see, you can tweak a lot of different things on this landing page builder. So it's way more customizable than Demio landing page builder. So obviously you can change the text, you can change the fonts, you can change the images. But in this example, I'm just going to try to embed Demio's registration button or this embed option into that page. So I'm going to click on save and show code over here. Obviously you can tweak this. You can tweak the button text and the colors. But in this case, I'm going to just leave it as default. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back to ActiveCampaign. I'm going to use this embed option and I'm going to drag it onto the landing page over here. I'm going to drop it over here and here I can enter the embed content. I'm going to delete this and I'm going to click on done. So this is a little bit annoying. So embedded content will not show while editing this page. So you have to click on the preview page to check if it's working. And as you can see, now we have the first name and the email address and the button, just basically the Demio registration fields. If you want, you can also use the pop over embed. So if we're going to use this, save and show the code, and I'm going to use the embed option over here again. I'm going to drag it onto the landing page. I'm going to click on it, delete this content. I'm going to paste the content of the Demio in here. I'm going to click on done and preview the page. And now this button appears. And if I click on this button, there should be a pop-up. So if I click on it, and as you can see now, a pop-up appears where people can fill in their name and email address to register for the Demio webinar. Obviously, now you can remove this here if you want. And then there is a third option. If we go back to Demio, there's also a link option. So you can use the pop-over link. So it's the same thing. You're going to copy this thing and you're going to embed it into the ActiveCampaign landing page. There's one other thing. You can also view this landing page on mobile as well to see how it looks on mobile. If I click on the preview page over here I can also see it on mobile. And as you can see, it works fine on mobile as well. And the mobile and desktop version it's pretty cool because you can click on certain elements of this page over here. And then over here you have the visibility. So you can say, okay, I don't want to show this on a mobile screen, for example, or the other way around. You can choose to not show it on desktop and only on mobile. So that's a pretty handy feature if you have some specific elements that you don't want to show on mobile or desktop. So in this case, I'm going to leave it as default and I'm going to click on publish the page and I'm going to click on publish. So now the page is live. I'm going to click on this one to see the live page. And this is the webinar registration page we just created with ActiveCampaign and an integration with Demio. So now people can register for our webinar through our ActiveCampaign landing page, but the information they enter over here, so the first name and email, isn't shared with ActiveCampaign yet. So to do so, we're going to go back to Demio, so the event registration page we just created, and we're going to scroll down a little bit, and here we can see integrations. We're going to click on it, and there you see the ActiveCampaign integration because we integrated ActiveCampaign with Demio already. If you haven't seen that part of this tutorial, please skip to that one. If you want to know how to do it, it's really simple. I'm going to click on over here, and here I can tag the people. So these are the tags that I created inside ActiveCampaign. So I can choose a tag for this specific webinar. So as you can see over here, so this webinar is on January 16. So let's go back to ActiveCampaign. I'm going to click on contacts. I'm going to go to tags, and here I'm going to enter the tag webinar January 16, 2024. So this is just an example. You can name it whatever you want, of course, but this is really clear of what this tag is. So I'm going to click on add the tag. So now we added this tag over here. We can see there's 0 contacts at the moment. We're going to go back to Demio. We're going to click on customize. So for this specific event, we're going to scroll down and here we see the integrations again. We're going to click on. It refreshes the tags. And now we see this tag included in this list. So we selected the tag and now we have 2 more options. So here you have the attendees, so the ones that attended your webinar, and we have the no-shows, so the ones that didn't attend the webinar. So if we click on this, we can see that we can add the ones that attended your webinar to a list, or we have the option to add a tag. So this is not required to do, but this way you can segment your audience based on attended or did not attend it. So what you can do over here is we're going to go back to ActiveCampaign. We're going to create some more tags. So I'm going to copy this. And the thing that I'm going to add here is attended. And I'm also going to add, so I'm going to copy this again, no show. So I'm going to add these tags. I'm going to go back to Demio. I'm going to click on add tag. I think I need to reload this page real quick. So I'm going to refresh, go back to integrations. Okay, so you have to do it all over again. So that's a little bit annoying. I'm going to click on webinar. So the attendees, going to add a tag. I'm going to say attended, and the no shows. I'm going to click on save the integration. So if we click on settings over here, there's one more thing we can do. There's a save join link. So that's the exact URL you can use to send that URL to those people to attend the webinar. So if we click on over here, so where do you want to save the join link? So these are custom fields over here. So we have to create a new custom field if we want to save this join link. So I'm going to go back to ActiveCampaign. I'm going to go to fields. I'm going to click on add new fields. I'm going to give this field the name Demio join link. So the rest of it, I'll leave it as default. I'm going to click on add. I'm going to go back to Demio. I'm going to refresh the page again. I'm going to click on settings, save the join the link. And now we have the custom field Demio join link. I'm going to save the integration. And now we're all set. So what we can do to test it, we're going to use the landing page we created with ActiveCampaign, or you can use this link over here. So it's the Demio registration page. It's the same thing, basically. In this case, I'm going to use the ActiveCampaign landing page. So I'm going to enter my name over here. I'm going to enter my email address. I'm going to enable this, and I'm going to click on register. So this is the default Demio thank you page, as you can see over here. So great, you're now registered for this event. So the event name. And then over here, you see the link that we also added into ActiveCampaign. So the Demio join link, that is this link. And then we have an add to calendar. So if we go to Demio over here, so if we choose the event we just created, then customize registration. And then over here, we see the custom thank you page. We're going to click on. And over here, you can choose a different URL than the default thank you page of Demio. So you can choose to use an ActiveCampaign landing page if you want. In this case, I'm going to keep it as default. So we were testing the landing page. So now we go back to ActiveCampaign. We're going to click on contacts. We're going to go to lists, the master contact list. So this is the email address I used to register for the event. So I'm going to click on it. And then over here, we can see we have the tag that has been added. So the webinar, January 16, 2024. So the moment this email address or this person attends this webinar, he or she will also get that other tag. So the webinar January 16, 2024 attended. So if you go back to tags, you remember, right? We created these tags as well, the no-show and attended. So in this case, you can choose to send different emails to the ones that attended your webinar and different emails to the ones that did not attend the webinar. So the segmentation feature inside ActiveCampaign is pretty much integrated into the whole system, the whole software. So I'm just going to show you the different ways how to use the segmentation feature. So the first way and the most simple way is to click on contacts. And then over here, we have the search contacts field. If you click on the search contacts, a new field appears, which is the advanced search. So if you click on that, this field appears. And over here, you can select a condition to filter your contacts and to create a new segment. So in this case, we're going to use tags because we want to have a look at the ones that attended our webinar. So we're going to choose the exists, and then over here we can see all the tags we have. So all the people who registered for our webinar received this tag. But then we also have this tag, so the attended webinar tag and the no-show webinar tag. Click on this one, so the attended tag. And the next thing is that I'm going to click on search. So as you can see, because I registered 2 people for this particular webinar and 1 contact, so this contact did attended the webinar and the other contact did not attended the webinar. So this contact, if I right mouse click on this contact over here and I do open a link in a new tab, you see this one has the tag webinar January 16 attended. So if you want to save this segment to use it later, you can click on search contacts over here again. And then a new field pops up again. And over here, you can click on save as a segment. So if I click on that, you can name your segment and then it will be saved for future references. So this is one way to use the segment builder. So then another way is if you go to lists over here. So here you can see all the lists you have in your account, and I only have 1 list, as you can see. So if you click on this icon over here, a window pops up and here you can click on segments. So these segments are pre-built already. You can click on one of those and it'll open in a new window. And there you can see the contacts who has not made a purchase, but these are just pre-built segments. You can here create also a new segment. So if I click new segment, you need to give the segment a name. So let's say if I call it test 1, create segment. And this is basically the same segment builder we used previously over at contacts. So here you can again use all the different conditions to create a new segment, and then you can save the segment. Then another way to use the segment builder is inside campaigns. So when you send a newsletter, so I'm going to click on create a new campaign. I'm going to call it test. I want to click on next. And then over here, I need to select a list. So I only have 1 list. So I'm going to select this list. And now I can select a segment I created previously. So one of the segments we previously created, or we can create a new segment. So if I click create a new segment, and then that same segment builder pops up again, and over here we can use that same segment. So let's say if we want to segment on tag again. So I'm gonna select tag, exist, and then webinar January 16, attendance. I'm gonna click on done. So I'm gonna click on next. Just for example purposes, I'm gonna select text only. I'm gonna select this one, I'm gonna enter test here again, click on continue. I'm gonna click on next. Okay, we need to enter something here. Just gonna enter some, this is a test. So now we're at summary, and over here you can see that we have selected the list, the master contact list with a segment. And here's the name of the segment. And as you can see, there's only one contact in this segment, and that is correct because there's only one contact that attended the webinar. And if we click on edit over here, you go back to the list tab over here. So what might be a little bit confusing over here is that it says 4 contacts despite we segmented this list. So at first I thought the segment feature wasn't working properly because it says 4 contacts and it should say only 1 contact. But at the summary tab, it does say 1 contact, so it does work properly. So another way to use the segmentation feature inside ActiveCampaign is also through campaigns, so newsletters. And then this feature is called conditional content, and you'll see in a bit what it means. So let's create a new campaign. So I'm gonna call this campaign conditional content. I'm gonna use the standard campaign type. I'm gonna click on next. I'm gonna select the entire list. I will not use any segments here because we'll use it inside the campaign builder. I'm gonna click on next. I'm gonna use the email designer, click on continue. And just for example purposes, I'm gonna start from scratch. I'm going to click this button. So I asked ChatGPT to create, to draft an email for us, taking into account the conditional content. And this is what it came up with the subject line. So I'm going to remove this part so we can't use conditional content in the headline, sadly. So I'm just going to say, thanks for joining our webinar. And I'm going to click on continue. Just for example purposes, I'm going to remove this, this content real quick. I'm going to select this section and I'm going to go to this icon over here. And then I'm going to select the bin icon and I'm going to delete this text section here as well. I'm going to click on the bin icon here. And then I'm going to go to blocks and then I'm going to add this text element inside the newsletter builder. And I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm just going to copy paste what it says over here just for example purposes. So I'm not sure. I didn't even read it yet. So I'm not sure if it's really good. So don't pay attention to that. The only reason what I'm going to show you is the conditional content element and how that works. I'm going to copy and paste this into the newsletter builder. So dear name, and we can use the personalization tags over here. So dear first name, thank you for your interest in our recent webinar on mastering Facebook ads for e-commerce success. We're thrilled to have engaged with so many e-commerce enthusiasts and experts. So as you can see, this is for everyone. So this is a divider, as you can see. I'm going to remove that as well as we don't need it. So I'm going to click on it and use this icon. So the next part of the email is the conditional content for attendees. And then we have a conditional content for non-attendees. And then we're going to close off the email, which is the same for everyone again. So the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this entire section. So I'm going to go to this icon over here and I'm going to click on this one. This is the copy the entire section. And I'm going to fill in the next part of the content, which is the content for attendees. I'm going to copy and paste this into the newsletter builder. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the conditional elements to this part of the email. So I'm going to go to this icon over here. So the 3 dots. I'm going to click on it, 3 dots, and I'm going to click on this one. This is the conditional content element. So the moment I click on it, this new window appears, which is the segmentation builder we're already familiar with, right? So I'm going to select this first one. I'm going to select tag exists, and then I'm going to choose the webinar January 16 attendance. Show this content if all conditions are met. I'm going to click on save. So now only the ones that have this tag will see this particular content. So I'm going to copy this entire section again. So copy. So now these two are just duplicates. So we need to change this content over here. So we're going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to copy and paste this over here. So this is for the non-attendees. So I'm going to select all, remove it, and I'm going to paste in the new content. I'm going to select the 3 dots again. So over here, so on the left side, I'm going to select the conditional content, and now tags exist. And now I'm going to change the tag to no show. I'm going to click on save. I'm going to copy this first one over here because this one has no tags, no conditional content elements yet. And I'm going to drag it to the bottom of the email. I'm going back to ChatGPT, see what the closer is over here. I'm just going to copy and paste it into the email. I'm going to remove this, copy and paste this. And this is basically the email. So obviously it would be nice to send a test email and to test whether or not this is properly working. But if we select the preview over here, as you can see, we can't do anything about the tags and the conditional content elements. And obviously Obviously, you can send a test email, but the conditional content in a test email also doesn't work. So the only way to test conditional content is if you have a test list, for example, and send this email to a test list. But anyway, we are in a test list, obviously, since this is not a real account. So I'm going to click on next, and we're just going to send this email to our list and see if the conditional content is working or not. So we're going to send it to the master contact list. So that includes the 2 contacts that attended the webinar. So I'm going to click on send now and see if it works. Your campaign is ready to be sent. Let's go. Send campaign now. So the campaign is sent, and I already opened the newsletters over here. So this first tab over here is from the ones that are that attended the webinar. So let's have a look. So dear Robin, so this is for all the people, right? And then this part is for the ones that attended the webinar. But as you can see, this section, so the bottom section over here of take your e-commerce game to the next level, is not inside this first email. So apparently we made a mistake. But what did work is the first section over here. So this is the conditional element for the ones that attended the webinar. So that did work. And the second section, so if we go to the second email, so this is the second email account for the contact that did not attend the webinar. So if I quickly go to the contacts over here so you can see yourself. So this contact over here, that is the first email. So that's this one, the one that did attended the webinar. So as you can see, this one has this tag, attendant. And if we go to the other contact, so that is this one over here, that is this email, and this contact has the tag did not show. So we missed you, but we've got you covered. This one does have the bottom part of the email. So let's take a look at what went wrong, because this email does not have the bottom part of the content. So I'm going to click on this email that we just sent out. So that's this one. I'm going to duplicate it so we can re-edit it and see what we did wrong. So this is the one we just copied. So here you can see draft, and this one is sent. So this is the draft version. I'm going to click on it so we can re-edit it again. So I'm going to go to the next step. I'm going to go to the next step again because we want to go to the design part over here and see what went wrong here. So this is the third section. And as you can see, if you take a look at the green lines, so the green lines over here, now they're blue, but now they're green, as you can see. So if I click on this part, you'll see that this bottom part belongs to this section. It's a very small thing that you look over very quickly, but so this is not correct, obviously, because this one has the conditional element that says only show this part to the ones that did not show up for the webinar. So what we need to do is we need to remove this part at the bottom over here and put it in a separate section. So I'm going to drag it, drop it again over here. So as you can see, it still belongs to the third section over here. So it's a little bit confusing. I'm not sure what I did differently right now, but for some reason it does work right now. So if I click on it over here, and if I go to conditional element, now the conditional element is gone, and here the conditional element still is correct. So let's resend it again and see if it works right now. So the master contact list, I'm going to click on send now. Currently sending. So this is the email that went to the contact that did attend the webinar, and as you can see, now the bottom part is here. So this is the correct email. So you made it, we're glad you did. And this one is to the one that did not attend the webinar, and this one it says, we missed you, but we got you covered. So it has a segmentation part inside the email. But this just goes to show that testing your emails, and especially if you're working with conditional content like this or other segmentation things, is very important, because making an error like this can be really annoying if you send it to hundreds or maybe thousands of people. All right, this is where things get exciting. I'm about to show you how to use ActiveCampaign's split automation feature. So let's go. So to add a split feature inside an automation, you're going to click on the plus icon over here. You're going to go to conditions and workflow. And then over here, you see the split option. I'm going to click on it. And now you have two options. So you can use an even split, or you can say a conditional split. So do keep in mind the split action feature is only available in the professional and enterprise plans of the marketing and sales plans. So you have two options how you want to split these contacts. So you can choose an even split and a conditional split. So this is what a conditional split is. So the split sends contacts down path A until a condition or conditions you set is met, then sends all new contacts down path B. So here's an example. So you wish to send a special offer to the first 100 contacts that complete a specific action, then send a different offer to everyone else who completes that action. So I asked ChatGPT to make it more practical with a real world scenario. So here's a scenario it came up with. So imagine you're launching an online course and you want to use email marketing to promote it. So you decide to offer a discount to the first 100 people who sign up and a smaller discount to those who sign up thereafter. So here's how you might set up the conditional split. So the early bird discount. So this path is for the first 100 contacts who click on the sign up link in your promotional email. They will receive an automated email with the coupon code for a 20% discount on the course. So the second path, so path B, so the standard discount. So after the first 100 signups are reached, all new contacts who click on the sign up link will automatically send down path B, where they will receive an email with a 10% discount code. And this is how it works. So we're going to change this to 100. You can change it to whatever you want, of course. They will be sent through path A. I'm going to click on apply. So these are the two different paths, as you can see. So if we go back to the ChatGPT example, so in this example, they're talking about the sign up link in a promotional email. So now I'm using a trigger when someone subscribes to a list, but you can also use a link trigger, for example, when someone clicks on a specific link in one of your emails. So I'm going to click on add a new trigger. And if I search on link, for example, so clicks a link in a specific email. So here I can choose a one-on-one email or a standard newsletter. I'm going to choose a standard newsletter in this case. I'm just going to pick a random email. So it's going to be the test e-commerce email. So these are all the links inside this specific email. So that's a pretty cool feature that not many email marketing software tools have. So I'm just going to pick this one just as a random example. And I'm going to click on add start. So now we have two triggers for this particular automation. I'm going to remove this one. So in this case, we want to add an action here, of course, with the email you want to send to the first 100 people. I'm going to click on this plus icon here. I'm going to click on send an email. You can give this email a name. So this will not be visible to your contacts. I'm going to call it discount code 20%. I'm going to click on start with a template because I don't have the email yet. I'm going to click on email designer. I'm going to click on continue. So here we got an example for the coupon code. I'm going to select this one, select discount code 20% for the email subject, click continue. So this is the content of this email. I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to click on next and I'm going to click on finish. So do you want this email to be sent immediately? Yes or no? I'm just going to click on yes, send immediately, and I'm going to click on save. So now the first 100 people that click on this specific link in this particular newsletter will go down path A and will receive this email immediately of the 20% discount. Now you can add another email over here with the 10% discount. So this is just an example, of course, how you could use this particular split feature inside ActiveCampaign. And if you want more ideas, you can use ChatGPT just as I did to generate more ideas how you can use this particular feature. In this case, I'm going to click on the plus icon over here and I'm going to end the automation. So conditions and workflow, end this automation. Obviously, I also want to add stuff to path B, but in this case, as this is just an example, I'm not going to do that. And if you want to activate this particular automation, you're going to click on activate and it will be active inside your account. So let me share another example with you guys where the split automation feature could come in handy. So let me introduce to you what I call the customer feedback automation. So I run a Shopify store selling books and I use the Judge Me app, so the Shopify app, to collect the reviews in my store. So what this app helps me do, so I set it up so it automatically sends out a review request a certain number of days after someone makes a purchase in my store. And while these emails do a great job of encouraging customers to leave a review, because I have plenty of reviews in my store, I also want to increase my Google reviews actually. So not just the feedback on my store, but also the Google reviews. I only have 2 reviews on Google. I've never asked someone to leave a review there. So the question is, how do I go about it? Should I stop the Judge Me emails and switch exclusively to Google reviews? Or should I modify the email to ask for a review on either Google or Judge Me? So there are plenty of options, of course, but in my opinion, asking for 2 things can make the message less clear. So if I were to set in an email that they can leave a review on Google and in my store, it'll make it less clear in my opinion. And I've learned that it's more effective to ask just for one specific thing if you want your audience to take action. So if you really want people to follow through, just ask for one thing. So that's why I came up with the split path review strategy. So this way, every time someone buys something from the store, the split automation feature in ActiveCampaign randomly assigns customers to one of the two paths. So one path for the Shopify store review, so path A, and another for the Google review. It's another email, path B. So this setup ensures I don't have to compromise or manually adjust emails later on. I can consistently grow my reviews on both platforms. Okay, so to create this automation, we're going to click on create an automation. I'm going to start from scratch, click on continue. So the trigger for this automation is probably an e-commerce purchase, for example. So let's see, purchase, makes a purchase. I'm going to click on it. So the integration, the Shopify integration runs multiple times. So every time a new purchase is made, this will trigger again, and again, indefinitely. And I'm going to click on add start. So then the next action we're going to add is the split again. So I'm going to go to conditions and workflow. I'm going to click on split. We're going to do the even split again, the never split indefinitely. I'm going to click on apply. So both at path A and path B, there will be emails. So I'm going to click on the plus icon over here. I'm going to add an email, sending options, send an email. We want to give this email a name. So I'm going to call it automation 7. So let's say this is the automation 7 email A. I'm going to click on start with a template. I'm going to click on email designer. I'm going to click on continue. So just searched on review, and there is apparently a request a review template already. So I'm going to select this one, about your purchase, email subject. I'm going to click on continue. So for example, we can use a button over here, leave a review on Google. So a Google review, that's email A. So that's fine. I'm going to click on the next. I'm going to click on finish. I want to send this email immediately. I'm going to click on save, and I'm going to end this automation over here. I'm going to go to conditions and workflow, end this automation. So the next one, I'm going to click on the plus icon over here. I'm going to click on sending options, send an email. I'm going to give this email a name. So again, if you have a spreadsheet, you can just copy and paste the email names, and you're just going to change the A to a B. I'm going to click on start with a template. I'm going to click on email designer. I'm going to click on continue. I'm going to search for review again. Request a review about your purchase. This is just an example subject, of course, but it might trigger some curiosity, this subject line. I'm going to click on continue. So instead of leave a review on Google, we're going to say leave a review on our website. I'm going to click on next. So this button, of course, links to our website where we also have a review system set up. I want this email to send immediately as well. And I'm going to end this automation after they've gone through this email. I'm going to go to conditions and workflow, end this automation. So now we have set up a split indefinitely between two paths. Path A will ask our customer to leave a review on Google, so a Google review. And then path B is leave a review on our website. And if there is only one action they can take, so leave a review on Google or leave a review on their website, so really only one thing they can do, I think there is a better chance they end up doing it. So now you're basically building reviews on both Google and on your website. And again, if you want to change the name, you can do it, of course. So for example, you can name it automation 7, asking feedback after purchase. As you can see, now you have a good overview of what this automation does. So here's another example for you to get you thinking. So we call this automation the randomized coupon code. So let's say you want to welcome your new email subscribers with a discount code that sometimes is 10% and sometimes 20% to test what works best. And you want to run it indefinitely. So this approach lets you see which discount works better over time. And it basically can also save you money if you end up concluding that the smaller discount is just as good as the bigger discount. So now let's take a closer look at how to set this up in ActiveCampaign. So to create this randomized coupon code example, we're going to split indefinitely. And then we have two paths. And then in this first path, we're going to add an email. So I'm going to click on the plus icon over here. I'm going to go to sending options and I'm going to select send an email. And I suggest you use some kind of spreadsheet to track all the automations you're going to add into your account. So you have a good overview of the names of all the different automations. So we want to give this email a name. I'm going to call it automation 5, for example. Let's say if this is 5. Email. I'm going to click on start with a template. I'm going to click on email designer and I'm going to click on continue. I'm going to choose the coupon code template over here. I'm going to select it. So in this case, there would be, for example, 10% discount, the email subject. I'm going to click on continue. So now you can obviously edit this text over here and edit the coupon code. Since this is an example, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to click on next and I'm going to click on finish. I want to send this email immediately. Send now, save. Okay, so now we have path B. I'm going to click on the plus icon again and I'm going to go to sending options, send an email, name automation 5, email B. So if you have a spreadsheet, you can just copy and paste these email names and you're just going to change A to B, for example. So you have like a consistent way of naming your emails. So in the previous example, I used start with a template. So in this example, I'm going to click on start with a past campaign. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on email designer, Click on continue. So here you can see the email we just created, email 5, email A. So this is why it's really handy to use recognizable names, so you know which email is what email. So I'm going to click on this one, and this one I'm going to call discounts, 20% discounts. Click on continue. So now you want to change the discount code. You want to change the text. I'm going to click on next. And also I want to send this email immediately. So now we have two different paths. This path will be split indefinitely. So this first email will be a 10% discount and this one will be a 20% discount. I'm going to end this automation over here. So I'm going to click on conditions and workflow, end this automation. I'm going to do the same here, end this automation. So this is one example how you can use the split indefinitely for the use case of randomizing the coupon codes. As you can see, I changed the name to automation 5 and then in brackets randomized coupon code. So this way you know exactly which one it is. So you can look it up by using your spreadsheet. So let's check out a really cool feature that's big in marketing. So the A/B test. So most tools let you test different email subject lines or content, but not many let you test emails that are part of an automation. ActiveCampaign does allow you to set this up with automation, and it's pretty useful. So I've come up with a case study again. So imagine you've set up an email series for people who download your free guide and they get a bunch of emails from you over time, right? So you've heard of that A/B testing with ActiveCampaign and you decide to try it on those emails in that automation campaign. But before we get into the how-to with ActiveCampaign, let's go over some key things about A/B testing. So the first thing, so the main goal of A/B testing is to see which version of something works best. That's the bottom line of A/B testing, of course. So in email marketing, you might test different subject lines or when to send them, or even whole sequences of emails or the content of an email, whatever have you. But a mistake lots of folks make is jumping to conclusions too fast. So for example, they might think one subject line is better because a few more people opened it. But the tiny difference might just be chance, especially if not a lot of people have seen the emails yet. So the thing is, you need to show your emails to enough people to really know which one's the winner. Otherwise, you might choose a winning email that's not actually the best. So when do you know when you've got enough data? So there is a tricky calculation to work out the right number of people, or sample size as they call it, but you don't have to worry about the math. I've got a simple tool that figures it out for us. So if you are curious about the math behind it or the details behind it, there's tons of information online. Just search for A/B testing and you end up in a big rabbit hole on Google. But just remember, the bottom line is a few responses won't cut it. You need to know what the sample size needs to be. So how does this tool work? So there are three things you need to fill in. So the first thing, the baseline conversion rate, the minimum detectable effect, and the statistical significance. So let's start with the baseline conversion rate. So let's say your average open rate is 40%. So you're going to fill in 40% over here. And by the way, if you want to know more about these three things, you can also click the question mark over here and it'll show you more information. So the second thing is the minimal detectable effect. It's now on 10%. So what does this mean? So let's say your baseline conversion rate, so your average conversion rate is like 40%. So if we multiply 40, so 40% times 10%, so times multiply it by 1.1, so that's 10%. So if this was 20%, I'm going to multiply it by 1.2. That's how it works. I'm going to click the button. So to make sure the A/B test is reliable and we want to detect if email B is performing 10% better than email A. So for example, the average open rate is 40%. If we want to detect a minimal effect of 10%, so which is email B should be 44% open rate at minimum. So there might not be a pretty big difference. So 40% or 44%. So it's a pretty small difference. Maybe it depends obviously on how many people opening your email. So it might be a big difference in terms of revenue. But anyhow, like 40 to 44%, you have to figure out yourself what the minimum detectable effect is for you. So this is a pretty small minimum detectable effect. And what does that mean? So if you have a smaller number, so now we need 1,700 people for each variation. So each variation, so we have variation A and we have variation B. So that means we need 1,700 times 2 3,400 people inside the split automation. So both 1,700 people in path A and 1,700 people in path B to make sure our A/B test is reliable with a minimum detectable effect of 10%. So let's say we up this number to 20%. You can see the sample size per variation will decrease rapidly. So now it's only 330 people that we need for each path. So now we need 330 people for path A and 330 people for path B. So that is how it works. So what does this mean? So if we multiply 40 times 1.2, so now what this means, our A/B test will not measure any improvements. So for example, if your path B open rate is 46% instead of the regular 40%, it will not accurately measure that in this A/B test we're doing right now. You get the point, right? So now the minimum detectable effect is a 20% increase. If the open rate is 48% or higher for path B, your A/B test is reliable. So just to show you a different calculator, so here you can fill in the visitors. So this is basically the people that enter path A, and this is the number of people that enter path B, for example. So if we go back to the sample size calculator, so the baseline conversion rate is 40%. So if we expect a conversion rate of 40% path A, so that means that 132 people opening the email if we send 330 people that email, right? So 40% of 330 is 132. So as we just calculated, so if we do 40 times 1.2, so that's an increase of 20%. So 1.2 will get a 48% open rate. So if we go back to the calculator over here, and if we go back to this calculator over here, and we have to calculate what this number would be. So if we do 330 times 48%, so that's the open rate, right? It's 158. So if we do 158 over here and then we click on calculate, you'll see now we have a significant result. And that means that now our A/B test is reliable. So this means, as you can read over here, you can be 95% confident that variant B will perform better than variant A. In other words, it's not just luck or a confidence or random thing that path B performs better, so path B. No, it's a reliable test that we just did. And now we can say path B performs better. So the subject line for path B performed better than path A, which is a significant result. So again, the 48% of 330 is 158. So if we make this 157 and click on calculate, it still says it's a reliable test, but probably if we make it 156, says it is not a significant result. So as you can see, variant B conversion rate was 47%, which was 18% higher than path A conversion rate of 40%. But you cannot say with a 95% confidence that a variant B will perform better than variant A. So that's basically the bottom line of A/B testing. You need to make sure you fill in these numbers and then you follow the advice what this calculator gives you. So let's do one more example. Let's say we go back to that 10%, so the minimum detectable effect of 10%, which was baseline conversion rate will be 44%, right? So the baseline, so we expect this one to be 40%, for example, and then this one would be a minimum 44% open rate. So this means that we need 1,700 people per variation. So if we go back to this calculator over here and we fill in 1,700 over here, so 1,700 times 40% is 680. So that's path A, we expect that to be. So that's 40%. So then path B will be also 1,700. And then the conversion, so the open rate was 44%, right? So we go 1,700 times 44%, which is 748. And I'm going to click on calculate. And now, as you can see, so this again is a significant result. So you can be 95% confident that variant B will perform better than variant A. So if we lower this amount to, let's say, 740, it will probably say that the result is not significant. So it still says significant because it's still 44%, right? So if we go a little bit lower, like 38 maybe, or 30. Okay, so here 730, which is like 43%, and now the result is not significant anymore. So that's why you need to follow the advice what this tool gives you. So again, the higher you set this number, so to 20% or 30%, you see, the higher you set this number, the less people you need for the test, basically. But you also need to be realistic. So let's say I set this to 40%. So the minimum detectable effect, if we multiply that, so 40 times 1.4, so 4%, you get an open rate of 56%. What's the chance of having this path having a 40% open rate and this one having a 56% open rate? Because that's what you need in order for this A/B test to be reliable. So if the open rate of path B will be anything less than 56%, the result, as you'll see over here, is not significant, which basically means the A/B test is not working. You cannot say for sure that the subject line of path B performed better than path A. So then we have the statistical significance. So the default number is 95%. So if you go to this calculator over here you can see the same thing. So the confidence level, which is the statistical significance. So these are the numbers you can choose from basically. So 90%, 95%, or 99%. So let's say you select 90%, which means you need less people per variation. So if we move this to 90%, and this number is less than the 95%. So what does this mean? If I click on calculate over here, you'll see you can be 90% confident that variant B will perform better than variant A. So what does that mean? So if I test this same email 100 times, so 90 times out of 100, the outcome should be that path B will outperform path A. So the other 10%, it can be that path A outperforms path B. So that's basically the thing of the statistical significance. So the default value is 95%. I'll advise you to keep it at that. So how does this work inside ActiveCampaign? I already showed you a little bit, but let's say we're gonna start from scratch. You're gonna click on automations over here, and then you're gonna click on create an automation. So in this case, I'm gonna select start from scratch, and I'm gonna click on continue. So what the trigger is of this automation, so it totally depends on what you're doing. So it can be subscribing to a list or adding a tag or subscribing to a specific form. So in this case, I'm not selecting a trigger. It totally depends, of course, on what kind of automation you're setting up. So to create such an A/B test, what we just talked about, you're going to click this plus icon over here, and then you're going to go to conditions and workflow, and then you're going to click on split. So for an A/B test, you're going to click on even split, and then you have 3 options. So you can select the first one, so which is never split indefinitely, so which means you have to choose the winner yourself eventually if you want to choose a winner. The second option is you want ActiveCampaign to conclude a winner after X number of contacts have been split, so you can change this number yourself, which totally depends on what you fill in over here, what we just discussed, right? So if you fill in these numbers over here, then it means you need 330 people per variation. So in total, you need to 2x this because you have 2 paths, right? So sample size per variation. So you need to fill in 660, right? So if you fill in these numbers, you need to fill in 660 over here inside ActiveCampaign. So just so you know, ActiveCampaign doesn't have such a calculator inside their tool. You have to use a separate calculator to figure out what the sample size per variation should be, and then you can fill in that number. So ActiveCampaign doesn't have like such a calculator inside their tool. So let's say if we just select this, so 660 total contacts have been split, and after that number, we want ActiveCampaign to conclude to choose a winner. So let's say we want to use these numbers, so 660 total contacts have been split. So now, how should the winning path be determined? So let's say we want to focus on open rate. So we want to choose the path, so the email with the best open rate. So I'm going to click on specify conditions. Now I'm going to click on this field over here, and I'm going to search for has opened, and I'm going to click on has opened. So what makes it a little bit confusing inside ActiveCampaign is that I can select a condition over here that just says I want to choose the best performing email based on open rate, for example. So I have to select the email that we didn't create yet. So it's a little bit confusing. So in this case, I'm just going to click on save over here. We will come back to this, the configuration of this split automation feature. We'll come back to it after we created the emails. But before we're going to create these emails, I'm going to name my automation. I always advise you to give your automation a good name so you can recognize your automation later on. So I'm going to call this one automation 26. And then, for example, A/B test 1. I'm going to click on save. I'm going to click on this plus icon over here to create an email. I'm going to click on it. and I'm going to click on send an email, and I'm going to call this email, I'm going to give this email the name automation26 email A. I'm going to click on save and design later, and I'm going to go to path B, and I'm going to click on the plus icon again, and I'm going to create a new email. So sending options, send an email, and I'm going to call this one automation email B. Save and design later. So now we're going to go back to the configuration of the split feature. We're going to click on it, and we're going to go back to how should the winning path be determined. So we're going to click on this has opened any campaign. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to select email A. So has opened. So I'm going to fill in 26 over here. So as you can see over here, that email we created over here, this name, is not listed in this list over here. And that's probably because we chose design later. So we have to go back. So that's my fault. We have to go back and design it right now because else probably this name will not be visible in that list. So we have to design it first. So start with a past campaign. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to choose email designer. I'm going to click on continue. I'm just going to select a random email over here, subject line, email A. I'm going to click on next, and I'm going to click on finish. I'm going to choose send immediately. I'm going to click on save. So let's see if that email is now in this list. And as you can see, now the email is in the list. So you have to design the email first before it will be activated in this list. So let's design that other email as well real quick. So start with a past campaign, email designer, click on continue. Select a random email, subject line, doesn't really matter for this example. I'm going to click on continue. I'm going to click on next. I'm going to click on finish at the top right corner over here. I'm going to choose send immediately. I'm going to click on save. So now we're going to go back to the configuration of this split feature. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on has opened any campaign. And now I'm going to choose has opened, and I'm going to select this email over here. And that's why it's good practice to give your emails proper names so you can always recognize that email. So automation26 email A. I know exactly that is this email, right? So automation26 email A. So that's why it's always good practice to give your emails proper names. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to click on plus add another condition. And I'm going to say has opened again, has opened. And by the way, I'm going to select or. So has opened email A or has opened email B. So I'm going to select automation26 email B. So again, this is a little bit confusing, right? So this is actually how the configuration works inside ActiveCampaign. I've tested it and it works. Eventually it will choose the path with the highest open. So this works basically to find the email, find the path with the most opens. But the configuration is a little bit confusing in my opinion. So has opened email A or has opened email B. So a more clear configuration would have been, for example, I want to use this split feature and then choose the email with the highest opens. Just that selection instead of having this weird configuration. So once you've done this, so has opened email A or has opened email B, I'm going to click on save. So now the configuration is set. So after 660 total contacts have been split, the contact 661, so contact number 661 will go to the best performing path, whether that's A or B, or if there's a tie, path A will be declared the winner. So I'm going to click on apply. And now if you activate this automation and you select the trigger, of course, people will go through this automation. And after 660 people have gone through the automation, there will be a path that will be declared the winner. So let's have a look at an automation that is already finished, that I've tested, so you can see how it looks. So I'm going to go to automations over here. So I'm going to select automation 24, for example. So this is an automation where I tested whether or not it really works, this split feature, and it did work. So as you can see over here, so the gray one over here is path A. So the winner of this split automation is path B. So if I click on this configuration over here, so it says after 2 total contacts have been split, the winner should be determined. So as you can see, I did the same thing. So has opened campaign email A or has opened campaign email B. And if we go to manage emails over here, if I click on it, so as you can see, email B has a 50% open rate. So 2 people went into path B. Email A has a 0% open rate. So you can see it works. It chose path B as the winner. And here you can see 1 contact in path A and 2 contacts in path B. So I first started with 2 contacts because it only needs 2 contacts, of course. And then I added a 3rd contact, and that contact went to path B. And just so you know, it will only gray out a certain path after, in this case, 3 contacts have been split. So that's also a little bit confusing. So it says split until 2 contacts have been split, right? So that was my configuration. So 2 contacts. So I added 2 contacts in this automation. I was basically waiting until it concluded the winner, but it did not conclude a winner until I added the 3rd contact, and then it sent that 3rd contact through path B, and then path A grayed out in that situation. And also good to know here, if you click on this split feature over here, although it already declared a winner, it still says split actions in progress and cannot be edited. So this will just stay the same forever. It will not change whether or not it declared a winner, just so you know, so you're not confused just like I was. So what happens next after you chose a winner? Of course, you can add more emails. So let's say if you have an evergreen newsletter, you can add more emails to this particular email sequence and keep testing the 2 different emails. So if you want, you can remove this split feature right now. So you can click on this bin icon over here, and then you can say what happens after you remove this split feature. So probably you're gonna keep path B, right? Because that was the winner of this split feature, but you can also keep it as it is. Or if you are going to remove this path A, maybe it is a good thing to add a note to this particular email so that you say test subject line with the date of the outcome of the test, for example. Then you're going to add the email A subject line, email B subject line, and then you're going to add a winner. Because if you remove one path without adding any notes, then you just forget about what happened, right? You forget about what email subject line you used and what the outcome was of the split automation. And if you do another test in the future, you can just add another note. You can add another note over here. I'm going to click on it. So as you can see, you can add multiple notes to the same email basically. So I hope you're enjoying my ActiveCampaign tutorial so far. So just on a side note, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, you can sign up for my newsletter. There's a link down below in the description. So I don't send emails often, but when I do, they're packed with value. So again, there's a link in the description if you want to check it out. So coming up, I'll guide you through setting up an ActiveCampaign lead magnet, which is pretty cool, a lead magnet opt-in form, including how to deliver that lead magnet itself. So we'll start with a simple yet effective sign-up form, and our lead magnet will offer 100 ActiveCampaign split automation ideas. I think that's a pretty cool headline for a lead magnet. So when someone submits their email, we'll make sure they get the free guide thereafter. That's how we will set it up in ActiveCampaign. So to give you a little overview of what's next, so the next part after that, I'll cover how to stick to GDPR privacy rules with sign-up forms and lead magnets. So the GDPR privacy rules are the European privacy laws, and those are the strictest privacy laws in the world. So not all companies follow them, but be aware breaking these rules can lead to fines in the millions. So it's worth understanding them, so make sure to stick around. But before we're going to talk about the GDPR rules, let's first jump into creating that lead magnet, sign-up form, and its delivery. So this example, we're going to use a sign-up form opt-in. So you can obviously also do a landing page, but in this case, we're going to do a sign-up form. So we're going to click on website. So I'm going to click on create a new form. I'm going to call this sign-up form lead magnet 100 ActiveCampaign split automation ideas. In this example, I'm going to use the inline form, and you can choose an action. So if someone enters his or her email address, what will happen afterwards? So the default action is subscribe to a list and then the master contact list. So this is just fine. We don't have to tag people. We don't have to add people to a separate list, to be honest, because ActiveCampaign already tracks who came through this particular lead magnet. So you can segment the ones that came through this particular lead magnet. So in this case, we're just going to click on create over here. So this is the default sign-up form. So to change the title, you have to do it on the right side over here. So that's a little bit weird. Like you would expect, at least I expected, that I can just change it over here, but apparently that's not possible. So you have to do it on the right-hand side over here. Anyway, I'm going to enter the title over here. So 100 ActiveCampaign split automation ideas you probably haven't tried in your business. Then there is the description. Also, you need to change it on the right-hand side over here. I'm going to remove that and I'm going to enter this. So enter your email address to download the 100 untapped ActiveCampaign split automation ideas. So this example, I'm going to remove the name. I don't really need the name. I'm just going to remove it. I'm going to click on this icon over here. Yes, I want to remove it. So then we have the email fields and then we have the button over here. It now says submit. I'm going to change it to download now. Then over at style over here, we can remove the branding if we want. And obviously we want to do that. If you want to change anything other in terms of styling, you can do that over here. And you can also change the code. So if you want to add some CSS CSS code to your sign up form, you can do that over here by clicking this icon over here. Then if we go back to options over here, there you see what happens on submit. So you can either show a thank you message, or you can choose to show a different URL. So basically a thank you page, as they call it. In terms of what's best, obviously a thank you page is better because you can do way more with a thank you page. You can show them other products you have. You can ask them to follow you on other social media accounts or whatever have you. But in this example, I'm just going to use the simplest route, which is the thank you message. So by default, it says thanks for signing up. So if someone enters their email address, they will see this message, thanks for signing up. So I changed the default thank you message to within 60 seconds, you'll receive an email. In that email, you'll find the free download you just requested. So the email I'm talking about here is the double opt-in confirmation email. That's what it's called in email marketing. So the double opt-in confirmation email. So allow me to quickly explain the concept of a double opt-in confirmation email. And if you're already familiar with this, you can skip it by using the timestamps in the description below. So I'm going to explain the double opt-in confirmation email two ways. So I'm going to explain it for a regular newsletter and for a lead magnet. So a sign-up form for a regular newsletter and a sign-up form for a lead magnet. So first, when someone signs up for a regular newsletter, they enter their email address into a sign-up form and hit subscribe. That's the idea. Instead of being immediately added to the email list, they receive a so-called confirmation email. So this email asks them to confirm that they intentionally signed up for that newsletter and want to receive the emails. There's usually a button or link that says confirm my subscription. And when they click this, it verifies two things. So first, their email address is correct. So you're ensuring there was no misspelling when they enter their email address. And secondly, they truly want to subscribe to your newsletter since they took a second action to confirm. So then we have the double opt-in for a lead magnet. Is a little bit different, but the principle is the same. So the process for a lead magnet. So when people sign up to receive a free guide or a lead magnet, they also enter their email address on a form. However, the difference is instead of a confirm my subscription button in the confirmation email, the confirmation button now says download the free ebook. So you can just change the text of that button, as you'll see in a bit when I create the confirmation email in ActiveCampaign. So when they click on this, it does two things. So firstly, it gives them access to that lead magnet so they can download that lead magnet they're trying to download in the beginning. And it also confirms their subscription to your email list. And of course, it ensures it's the correct email address. So that is the bottom line of a double opt-in confirmation email. So to edit the double opt-in email, you're going to go to form action over here, and then you're going to click on edit over here on this icon, this pencil icon. So when someone subscribes to this particular list through this particular opt-in form, they will receive this email. So if I click on preview over here, they'll see this email. So thank you for subscribing. So this is the default confirmation email, by the way. So you can edit this, of course. So thank you for subscribing, confirm my subscription. So this is the default confirmation email, which we're going to change right now. So to edit the opt-in email, we're going to click on edit over here. So now, as you can see, the default text is thank you for subscribing. But this is obviously a little bit confusing for the one that is trying to download your lead magnet, because they're actually not subscribing. They're trying to download your lead magnet, right? So we need to alter this text so it is better suited for the lead magnet. So I changed the content to this. So thank you for contacting us. You or someone has requested our free ebook on blah, 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 blah. After clicking the confirm my subscription button below, which is this button, the free ebook download will start automatically. Then over here, I'm going to explain that they can unsubscribe anytime if they want. So as you can see, this text is obviously way more relevant to the PDF lead magnet they're trying to download instead of just saying thanks for subscribing. So anyway, we're done with this email right now. So the next step is that we want to add our lead magnet to this button. So the moment they click on this button, they should see the lead magnet on the next step, right? So that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to click on done. I'm going to go back to options, and then I'm going to go back to this pencil icon over here. We're going to add it again. And now we're going to change the confirmation action. So that is the button. So that is this button over here, confirm my subscription. So now it says show a message. I'm going to click on customize. So now it will say, thanks for signing up. I'm going to go back to the form, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to redirect to a URL. So over here, we can add a URL. So in most cases, you're probably going to use a Google Drive download link, for example, where you can host your PDF. So here's just a quick example. So this is a PDF I uploaded to Google Drive. So the next thing you want to do is you're going to click on this icon over here, and then you're going to go to share. And then you're going to click on share. And then over here, it should say anyone with the link can open this PDF. Anyone with the link can view this PDF. So I'm going to click on copy link and I'm going to click on done. And to make sure it works, make sure to go incognito. And then over here, you're going to enter the URL and to see if it opens. I'm going to click on enter. And as you can see, this works. So I'm going to click on close again. I'm going to go back to my ActiveCampaign account and I'm going to enter that URL over here. So that Google Drive URL. Obviously, you don't have to use Google Drive, but that's how I do it. You can obviously also host that file somewhere else if you want. So in this case, I'm going to click on save. I'm going to click on integrate. Since this is just an example, I'm just going to use the link. So I'm going to copy this link over here and I'm going to test it. So this is a pretty cool thing with ActiveCampaign. If someone is already subscribed to your list, which is this email address that I'm going to enter right now. So this one is already subscribed to this master list that is connected to this sign up form. They will skip the confirmation email and will go straight through that particular lead magnet, as you'll see right now. So I'm going to click on download now, and now the lead magnet should immediately open. See, this is the file we just used inside our sign up form settings, right? So if we go back to the sign up form, we go back to options, and we're going to click on this pencil icon over here. Here you can see this is the confirmation action of the button of the opt-in email. So if we click preview, so if someone clicks the confirmation button over here, this link will open, which is the lead magnet they try to download. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to click on integrate again. And I'm going to now test it with an email address that is not inside my account already. So I'm going to enter this email address and I'm going to click on download now. And now you see the thank you message we created before inside the sign up form. So if we go back to the sign up form and we go to options over here, you see that thank you message. So that is this message you see over here. Within 60 seconds, you'll receive an email. And in that email, you find that free download link. So I'm going to go to my email to see if we received the email. So this is the email. So please confirm your subscription to master contact list. So this subject line isn't the best. So if we want to change that, we're going to go back to the sign up form over here. We're going to click on pencil icon over here to edit it. We're going to click on edit over here. And we're going to click on this gear icon in the top right corner over here. And here you can see the subject line. So please confirm your subscription. And obviously you want to change this because this is not what they try to do. So they try to download the lead magnet. So for example, you could say, here is your requested download. I'm going to click on save. So I'm going to go back to my email. So the rest of the email is correct. But before I'm going to click on confirm my subscription, I'm going to show you how this particular email address will show inside ActiveCampaign. So I'm going to go to contacts over here. I'm going to click on list and I'm going to click on the master contact list. So as you can see, so this is the email address. So it is marketing.poppyb@gmail.com. As you can see, that email address is not listed in this list. The reason is because these email addresses are all active inside this list. But because I didn't click on the confirm my subscription yet, I am not an active contact in this particular marketing list. So if we click on unconfirmed, as you can see over here, there you see the email address that is listed over here. So if you want to send a campaign right now to this particular list, you won't be able to send an email to this particular email address because they didn't confirm their subscription yet. So the moment I click on confirm my subscription, the download will start. So this is the lead magnet they try to download. If we go back to ActiveCampaign and if we refresh this page, this contact should disappear from the unconfirmed list. So I'm going to refresh. And as you can see, now there are no unconfirmed contacts anymore in this list. And if we go to active, you'll see we have 5 contacts right now, including that email address that we just added to this list. So again, if you want to send a campaign, a newsletter to this particular list, only the active ones, so the ones that confirm their email address, will receive those newsletters. You can't send marketing emails to unconfirmed email addresses. So in the previous part, I walked you through making a sign-up form and how to give out the lead magnet. Next, so in this part, I'll teach you how to put checkboxes on your ActiveCampaign forms that follow the GDPR rules. So these rules are pretty tough, but not following them can lead to really big fines. So I've read cases of millions of euros. So let's get into making your sign-up forms GDPR friendly. This is the new sign-up form with the GDPR. So this is the sign-up form with GDPR. If I go back to this tab over here, you'll see the sign-up form without the GDPR. So here I'm only asking for an email address, and over here I'm asking for an email address, but I also ask, do you want to stay in touch? Yes, keep me updated on relevant news for ActiveCampaign users. So again, this sign-up form is for 100 ActiveCampaign split automation ideas. So people can download these split automation ideas for free if they enter their email address. And then we have this field over here, stay in touch. Yes, keep me updated on relevant news for ActiveCampaign users. no, just send me the free automation ideas. So let me explain how this works. So I'm going to click on integrate real quick, and I'm going to use this link. And I opened this sign up form in a new tab over here. So let's say someone enters his or her email address over here. So at this moment, this field is required. So if I click download now, it says please select an option. So let's say they click on no, just send me the free automation ideas. So if they click the download now button at this moment, if they select no, just send me the free automation ideas, they will just receive that email just like anyone else. So if we go back to that earlier sign up form where you can just enter your email, it'll just work like this, exactly like this. So let's take a look at the email they will receive at that moment. So we're going to click on options at the top right corner over here, and then we're going to click on this pencil icon. So if I click the preview button over here for the opt-in email, I'm going to click on preview, and then you'll see I changed the text a little bit. So if you've seen the previous part of this tutorial where I showcase how to create this sign up form, so you'll see that I changed the text a little bit. So at the moment it says you or someone requested the free ebook using this address, blah, 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 blah. After clicking the button below, the free ebook download will start automatically. So now they can click this button, download the free ebook. So if they click this button over here, this link will open, which is the free ebook they try to download. So that's the same thing what we did in the previous chapter of this tutorial where I showcased how to set up this. So if you haven't watched that part of this tutorial, please do so because it'll make more sense then. Anyway, after they click the download free ebook button, they're basically on our list, right? Because this is the confirmation button. So what did I do? I created this automation. So let me explain. So the trigger of this automation is the following. So I'm going to click on it so you can see it. So over here, I've selected the form, so which is this form over here. I'm going to select multiple times over here. So this part of the trigger is pretty important. So only trigger this automation if they clicked this subscribe button. So I know it says download the free ebook, but actually this is the confirmation button. So please see the previous part of the tutorial. It'll make more sense if you don't understand it right now, but this is the confirmation button. So if they click this button, they will become active on our list. So that is the trigger that I want for this particular automation. So if they click this button, then this automation will be triggered. Okay, so let's have a look at the next step. So I'm going to click on close over here. So over here, I added an if-else condition. So I clicked on plus, conditions and workflow, and the if-else. This is the action I'm using over here. So I'm going to click on it. So if the GDPR consent is keep me updated on relevant news for ActiveCampaign users and this automation, so I want to keep them on my list. If they don't have that information inside their profile, so if they selected no, I want to unsubscribe them from all lists. And then the next step is end this automation. And that is basically how it works. So if they select yes, they will stay on the list. I will not unsubscribe them. If they select no, just send me the free automation ideas, then that's just fine. They will receive this email, which is the free ebook they try to download. Once they click on this download button, they will actually become active on our list. So they will become a subscriber to our newsletter. But because we have this automation in place, they will be unsubscribed immediately if they have selected no, just send me the free automation ideas. So this is one way to make sure you only send newsletters to the ones that want to receive your newsletters instead of sending people newsletters if they actually do not want to receive your newsletters. And just so you know, GDPR is not just about checkboxes giving people the choice to subscribe. There are other GDPR rules like the burden of proof and requirements for consent. So I'll drop links to these articles below, but the bottom line is this. If there is ever a GDPR audit, you need to show what version of the sign-up form your subscriber used the moment they signed up. So to make sure you understand it, I'll repeat it. You need to show what version of the sign-up form your subscriber used back then when they signed up. You need to show that version. So what does this mean practically? It means that you need to keep screenshots of every form you make. So if you alter your form, you should make a new screenshot and you put that in your database. And I call it a database, but it can just be a Notion page, for example, or whatever page you have where you can enter those screenshots. So for example, this is one way to do it. So this is a page inside Notion. And this text over here is basically the same text as my sign-up form. So I just copied and pasted this text over here. I pasted it in here so I know exactly which sign-up form this is. So if I press this toggle icon over here you can see if I tweak my sign-up form a little bit, I need to add a new version over here. So for example, if I click on this toggle icon again, here you can see I created a screenshot of the sign-up form. So if I open a sign-up form over here, if I click on it, you'll see that is this sign-up form. If I go back to this tab over here, that is this sign-up form. If I tweak something, so if I tweak the headline or if I tweak something else, I should create a new screenshot and add it in here just like this. So toggle, and then I say version 2, create it, and then the date of today. I tweaked the sign-up form. If you want to do it absolutely correct, this is the way to do it. So you always have an accurate screenshot of the sign-up form. So another thing you see here is the confirmation email. If I right mouse click over here and if I click on full screen, you can see the confirmation email I use. So if I tweak something in this confirmation email, I also should make a new screenshot to add it inside this page. Of course, this is just an example. You can create whatever template you want for keeping track of the different sign-up forms, but this is just an example of how you can do it while following the rules of the GDPR. And just to show you real quick how to create a screenshot of the confirmation email, you're going to go to this tab over here. You're going to click on the sign-up form. Then you're going to go to options. Then you're going to click this pencil icon over here. Then this window will pop up and here you see the opt-in email and you can click on preview. You can make it bigger if you want. So this is the confirmation email I created a screenshot of. And we're not done yet with the GDPR. It's a quite list to tackle. So according to ActiveCampaign, proof of consent means we need to record who consented, when they did, and exactly what they agreed to. So inside ActiveCampaign, there is a way to do this. Let's have a look. So one way inside ActiveCampaign to accomplish this is to receive a copy of every sign-up form submission. So if I click on edit over here, you can go to options and then over here you can see a form action. And here you can click on add an action. So if I click on add an action, you can select the action email result. So this feature is not available during the trial period. So this account is on a trial period, so I cannot click on it, but it will look like this. So if I open this screenshot over here, you can see you can add your email address here. So for example, you could create a specific email address. So let's say sign up form submissions at yourdomainname.com, and then all sign up form submissions will be emailed to that specific email address. So this screenshot over here shows the sign up form submission. So here you can see who consented, so the contact info of that particular subscriber, of the new subscriber. When the consent was given, you can see the date of when the consent was given. Here you can see what they consented to. So if we open the sign up form over here, you can see here stay in touch. So that will be visible here as well. So if they click a button, so for example, if they click yes, keep me updated or relevant news for ActiveCampaign users, you will see that here on the sign-up form submission screenshot. And then again, this information you'll see here on the screen, so that screenshot you'll receive on your email address will match this information here as well. So you can see the date here of the version of the sign-up form, and you'll see the screenshots here in the confirmation email. So this information you'll see here meshes this information here, right? So you have multiple touch points on how you can prove what sign-up form they used and when the subscription date was. Then there is one more way to timestamp the date of consent for each form submission. So this is ActiveCampaign's website over here, and they advise you to create this automation. So this automation makes sure to update a custom field with the current time. So at the moment they clicked yes and consented to use sending them newsletters basically. So to create this automation, we're going to go to ActiveCampaign over here. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to context and we're going to create a new custom field. So we're going to click on context and then custom fields over here. And then I'm going to make sure that I click on context over here, so not on accounts. Then if I'm on context, I'm going to click on add field. So for example, you could name this field date consent receiving newsletters. It depends, of course, what kind of consent you're trying to receive. So let's say, for example, if it's date consent retargeting, for example. If it's that, then you can give this custom field that title. But in this case, I want to timestamp this particular consent. So yes, keep me updated on relevant news for ActiveCampaign users. So for example, date, consent, newsletter, ActiveCampaign. For field type, I'm going to use date and time, and I'm going to click on add. So now we have added this particular custom field, and we're going to go back to automations. I'm going to click on automations. I'm going to create a new automation. I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to click on continue. And by the way, if you want to import this automation I'm just about to create, you can use the links down below in the description, where I'll add all the links where you can just easily import the automations I'm creating in this tutorial. So in this case, I'm going to trigger this automation when someone submits this particular form. So the 100 ActiveCampaign split automation ideas. I'm going to click on submit. So instead of selecting any form, I'm going to select that particular form, which is this one. So the GDPR one, I'm going to select it. I'm going to say it runs multiple times. So if they opt in a second time, I want to update the timestamp of that custom field again. So I'm using this advanced feature over here. I'm going to segment. I'm going to click on segment, and I'm going to segment on this custom field over here. So I'm going to segment the ones that click this particular option. So I'm going to go to custom contact fields, and I'm going to scroll down here, and here it says GDPR consent. And then I'm going to say, yes, keep me updated on relevant news for ActiveCampaign users. So I only want to trigger this automation if people opted in by selecting this option over here. And I'm going to add another condition over here, and I'm using the and. And what I'm going to do is I only want to trigger this particular automation if that particular person that tries to opt in using this form also clicked on the confirmation email. So if I show you the confirmation email real quick, I'm going to click on preview. So I only want to trigger this automation if they click on this button. So if they click this button, at that moment, they will become active on our list. So I'm going to select list, is subscribed to list active. And in this case, I'm going to select the list that is connected to this specific sign-up form, which is this list. I only have one list, so it doesn't really matter. But let's say if you have multiple lists, I'm going to select the list that is connected to that particular sign-up form. And I'm going to click on add start. So to make sure you understand, this automation will be triggered if someone fills in his or her email address in the sign-up form, click the yes, keep me updated on relevant news for ActiveCampaign users, and clicks the button in the confirmation email. So if I show you the confirmation email again, so they have to click this button, and at the moment they do that, this automation will be triggered. So at that point, we're going to click on this plus icon over here, and we're going to add an action, and we're going to update the custom field with the timestamp for the consent date we just created. So we're going to click on contacts, update a contact, and we're going to select the custom field here. So date, consent, newsletter, ActiveCampaign, and enter a new value. I'm going to say current time. And then I'm going to click the plus icon here again, and I'm going to say conditions and workflow and this automation. Now, of course, you want to make sure this automation is active. So this automation is one extra way to make sure you have a record of the date of consent, as ActiveCampaign describes it in this GDPR article on their website. Also, make sure to give your automation a good name, recognizable name, so you can find it again in the future. So I gave it this name, so automation 21, timestamp, consent, newsletter, ActiveCampaign. I'm going to click on save. And that's it. So that wraps up how to avoid emailing people who didn't sign up for your newsletter and stay in line with GDPR for your email marketing forms. So let's quickly review what we've done here. So the first thing, we added a checkbox to our form, giving people the choice to either just get the freebie or also sign up for the newsletter. So secondly, besides the checkboxes, you're now keeping screenshots of each form version and the double opt-in emails you've sent. And third, essentially, you're keeping clear records of who consented, when they consented, and to what exactly they consented to. So I've tested a bunch of different email marketing tools, and I haven't found any email marketing tool that lets me automatically remove contacts who aren't opening my emails until ActiveCampaign. So it's the first one that gives me control over this entire process, removing contacts that aren't opening my emails. And what I'm going to show you right now is a super useful automation that keeps your email list fresh and engaged without you having to do it by hand, which is obviously what we want to do. Email automation, right? So a few benefits of regularly cleaning your list are better open rates, because you have people on your list that truly want to see your email. And of course, you have less chance of being marked as spam, because you unsubscribe the people that don't open your emails anyway. And lastly, you will reduce your ActiveCampaign monthly cost because you have fewer subscribers. Let's dive in. So let me now explain these two automations. So we have this automation. So I've called this one 13.1 and the other one 13.2. So they work together, and they also work with a custom field I created. So if you go to contacts and then fields, you can create a new custom field, and the new custom field I created was the days inactive, and I've used the text input for this one. I'll show you how to do it just in a minute, but let me explain how the automation works first. So you can enter any trigger, whatever you want, of course, but in this case, I'm using the trigger contact subscribes to any list. So after 30 days, so you can set this number to whatever you want, of course, but I'm using 30 days. So after 30 days, the contact field we created, so the field we created over here, so the days inactive, will be updated with the number 30, which represents the days inactive, 30 days. So after another 30 days, the contact field will be updated to 60. After another 30 days, it will be updated to 90. And if after 90 days, the contact still didn't interact with our emails, they will be unsubscribed from all of our lists. So how does this work? So this works with the other automation we created. So let's open the other automation. So this automation starts when a contact reads an email, clicks an email, replies to an email. You can also, if you have an e-commerce store, for example, you can add another trigger over here. For example, makes a purchase. So makes a purchase, for example, any integration. So you can choose your Shopify store, for example. I'm going to click on multiple times, click on start. So if a contact now makes a purchase, this automation will start as well. So like any interaction with our store or with our emails, basically. So the first step in this particular automation, so if any of these 4 triggers will start, will trigger, so this first action will take place. So exit the automation 13.1, because if any of these things will become true, so if any of these things will happen, we don't want to unsubscribe the contact, of course. So that contact will exit this automation. So he or she will not be unsubscribed if they interact with any of our emails. The next thing, what will happen if he or she reads or clicks or replies or purchases from our store, value from the custom field days inactive will be cleared. So if that value has been set to 30, 60 or 90, it will now be cleared because they interacted with our emails over here. And then in the last step over here, enter the automation 13.1 again. So we want to re-enter them in this automation again. So after 30 days, if they didn't interact with our emails, the custom field will be updated to 30 again. Then after 30 days, it will be 60, another 30 days, 90, and then they will be unsubscribed from all our lists if they did not interact with our email or did not purchase anything. So it's an ongoing cycle, as you can see. So if they interact with the email, they will exit the automation, they will exit this automation wherever they are, and then the value will be cleared again, and then they will re-enter the automation from the top over here. So for example, there are 2 contacts over here. They re-entered this automation because they interacted with my emails. So let me now show you how to create these automations from start. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to contacts because we're going to create a custom field. So we're going to click on contacts and then on fields over here. We're going to click on add new fields. We're going to give it a name. So days inactive, for example, and as field type, you're going to leave it as text input. You're going to click on add, and then you have it over your days inactive. So the next thing is we're going to go to automations. We're going to create a new automation. I'm going to click on start from scratch. You can also import the automation over here, by the way. So I'll leave links down below in the description where you can import the automations I just created, as you just saw. So you don't have to create it from scratch. But if you want to learn how to do it yourself, I'll show you how to do it. You're going to click on start from scratch. You're going to click on continue. So in this case, as the trigger, I'm going to use the subscribe to a list. So if you want to use a specific list, you can choose that specific list. In my case, I'm going to use any list. This will run just once. We don't have to run it multiple times. And we're going to click on add start. So the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to add a wait condition over here. So we're going to go to conditions and workflow, and we're going to select wait. Now you can choose for a specific period of time, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to choose 30 days. So in my example, I used 30 days, but you can choose whatever you want, of course. So you can also add 90 days if you just want to skip those other steps. So in my example, I'm going to use 30 days. And after those 30 days, I want that custom field to be updated with 30 days. So I'm going to click on contacts over here, update the contact, and then go to custom field days inactive, and then I'm going to say 30 days. So enter the value 30. And the reason I'm tagging or changing a custom field for these specific contacts is just so I know that these contacts haven't interacted with my list or with my emails in the last 30 days. So the next thing I did with my automation was another waiting period of 30 days. So wait for a specific period of time, 30 days again. And the next action is update the contact field again, update the contact. And then the new value is 60. So we have 60 days inactive right now. So 30 and then 60. And the reason I'm also adding different steps over here, so 30, 60, is so you can maybe add an email over here. So for example, if someone hasn't interacted with your content in the last 30 days, you can choose to send them a specific email. So you can click this plus icon, for example, and go to sending options, send an email. So you can choose to send those contacts a specific email, try to re-engage them with your content again. So you can choose, so for example, if you have an e-commerce store, you can choose to send them maybe a discount code, or maybe there are way more creative ideas that I just didn't think of just now. But just so you know, this is a way to re-engage them, try to re-engage them with your content. Save and design later, right? So you can send them an email if you want after those 30 days, after those 60 days. So in this case, I'm going to click the plus icon again. I'm going to add another wait period, wait for a specific period of time. Again, 30 days. I'm going to update the custom field again, go to contacts, update a contact, enter a new value for days inactive. It's going to be 90 at the moment. And then I'm going to click the plus icon again. And I'm going to say unsubscribe from one or more lists, unsubscribe from all lists. I'm going to click on save, and I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to click the plus icon here again, and I'm going to say end this automations, conditions and workflow, end this automation. So as you can see, you can click on multiple plus icons in these steps to try to re-engage them with your content. So make sure to give your automation a good name so you can find that automation later on if you have lots of automations going on. So for example, if we go back to my earlier example, as you can see, I called it automation 13.1, remove inactive subs. So the reason it is 13.1 is because we also have the 13.2. So I know those two automations work together. So now we're going to create this automation. So make sure to activate the automation over here. So I'm going to go back to automations. I'm going to click on create an automation. I'm going to go start from scratch. So again, you can import that automation as well. I have a link down below in the description where you can import the automation. You just need to enter the URL and it will be imported into your account. I'm going to click on create an automation, start from scratch so you know how to do it as well. So the start from the trigger will be interacting with our emails, or if you have an e-commerce store, a purchase can work as well. So open reads an email. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to choose standard campaign. I'm going to choose any email in any list runs multiple times, and I'm going to click on start. And the reason I'm choosing multiple times is because if they interact with an email multiple times, so the second time, for example, I also want to reset that other automation so they won't be unsubscribed from my list. You know, any interaction is an interaction. I'm going to click on start. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to conditions and workflow, and we're going to end the other automation that they won't be unsubscribed from our list. I'm going to click end another automation, and then you're going to select the automation you just created where they will be unsubscribed from your list. So in my case, that was this automation. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to click on apply. Then the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to click the plus icon here again, and we're going to reset the custom field where it says the days inactive, and we're going to reset that value. We're going to go to the contacts. We're going to click on update a contact. We're going to click on days inactive, clear existing value, and then we're going to click on save. And then we want to re-enter them into that earlier automation we created to unsubscribe them from our list. So we're going to click on the plus icon. We're going to go to conditions and workflow. start an automation. So we're going to select that earlier automation we removed them from. So we're going to re-enter them from the top. We're going to click on it and we're going to click on apply. So now they will be re-entered from the top for that specific automation. So now the trigger is only reads any email. You obviously want to add more triggers. So let's say clicks a link in an email. So this one, for example, standard campaign, runs multiple times. And then we also have the replies to an email, standard campaign, runs multiple times, click start. And then you can see, so then you can scan for yourself as well in these triggers. Maybe there's a trigger you think is appropriate for your specific situation. But I'm going to click on close here. And that is basically the two automations we just created. So make sure to activate it so it works, and then name your automation. So give it a good name so you know how to find it again in the future. So I always tell people, including you, to test your automations before you let them loose on all your contacts. And I'm going to show you how to test the automatically unsubscribe inactive people automation to make sure it's working properly. So let's dive in. So as you can see, I changed the automation a little bit. So I changed the trigger. So now the trigger is when I add a tag to a particular contact, then this automation will be triggered. And I also changed the wait periods because I don't want to wait 30 days to test this particular automation. So I changed it to 5 minutes. So the contact field will be updated with 5 minutes. So then after another 5 minutes, so if the contact didn't read or open any email, didn't click on any email or reply to an email, the custom field of inactivity will be updated to 10 minutes. Then after another 5 minutes, it will be updated to 15 minutes if he or she still didn't interact with my emails. And then after another 5 minutes, they will be unsubscribed from the list if they didn't interact at all with my email. So I did not change this particular automation. So if the contact does read any email or does click a link in the email, they will be removed from that particular automation. And the existing value from days inactive will also be removed. And then after that, they will be entering the automation again. So they will re-enter this automation again. So I haven't changed this part. I just changed the wait times over here just to make sure I can test it, that it's truly working. So the reason I'm showing you this is just to showcase how I test particular automations and how you can do it as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a tag over here to a couple of contacts and see how it goes. So I'm going to go to contacts and I'm going to click on tags. So I already added this tag. So inactive test, I'm going to go to list. I'm going to click on the master contact list. And I'm going to add a tag over here at this particular contact. Enter the tag, inactive test. So if I refresh this page right now, you'll see the recent activity will change over here. So this particular contact will be added to this automation. So I'm going to go back to this one over here. I'm going to refresh this page. And as you can see now, this particular contact has entered the automation 13.1. And that is this particular automation. So he will now be in a wait period. So let's wait for 5 minutes and see if the contact field changes to 5. So it should change to 5. So if you go to this particular contact, so the days inactive, there's nothing inside this particular field. So let's see what happens after 5 minutes. As you can see, this particular contact is now in queue for this particular action. So you can see it is already working, that this contact is inside this automation.
5 minutes later.
So I just refreshed the page. So 5 minutes have passed, a little more than 5 minutes. And now the custom field, days inactive, is now set to 5. So this just goes to show that the automation works. And now as you can see, I just refreshed the page. Now this one is in queue for this particular one. So let's open an email. Let's interact with an email for this particular contact, and let's see what happens then, because then they should exit this particular automation. It should clear the existing value from days inactive, and then it should re-enter the automation again. So I just opened a past email, so I'm not sure if that works as well. So this is an email that was sent like before I added this particular contact to this automation. So this is not a new email. So let's see if it works. If I refresh this page right now, and now he's back in this queue again. So let's open the contact. This one should say 0 right now because it should clear the existing value. So let's refresh this page. And as you can see, the value is gone. So the automation works up until to this point. So we have to wait like for in total for 15 minutes to see if the contact will be subscribed from all the lists, because we obviously want to know if that contact will be unsubscribed from the list if he or she doesn't interact with any emails.
15 minutes later.
So I've waited for longer than 15 minutes. I had a really nice sandwich in the meantime. So let's refresh this contact page and let's see if this contact is still subscribed, because he should be unsubscribed, because he should have gone through this step over here, unsubscribe from all lists, because it's longer than 15 minutes and this contact hasn't read or did anything in the meantime like any of these triggers over here. So let's see, I'm gonna refresh this page, and as you can see over here, unsubscribed from list master contact list by automation 13.1. So as you can see, the contact is correctly unsubscribed. So as you can see now in this list, there are 4 contacts who are active. So 4 contacts who are active. If I click on any, then you can see that this contact is also in this same list, but this one is unsubscribed. So if I click on unsubscribed right now, so if I only want the status unsubscribed, then you'll see this contact over here. So one other way you can see it is unsubscribed. So if I click on this particular contact, you'll see here that this icon is before the master contact list. So this means it is unsubscribed. So if I click on it, you'll see unsubscribed from list. So if I click a different contact in that same list, so for example, this one, you can see there's a different icon. So there's a check icon over here that it is still subscribed to this list. So the status subscribed, and this icon means unsubscribed. So that's it. That's one way to test this automation to make sure it works properly as it should. So let's now take a look at site tracking, a feature that I believe aren't many people using. So as we did previously, let's come up with an example business case again. So imagine you run a real estate business and send out a monthly newsletters with new listings. So with site tracking turned on inside ActiveCampaign, you can see if someone clicks a link in your email, and then, so this is the site tracking part, and then checks out the pages on your website. So you can see what pages they're visiting, and you can see the data inside your ActiveCampaign dashboard. So say someone looks at a listing 3 times or more, you could set up an automation to send them more details about that property. So of course, this is just one random idea. The main thing is that you can tailor your email list actions based on which website pages your subscribers visit. So let me show you how to get site tracking up and running with ActiveCampaign. So if you want to enable site tracking with ActiveCampaign, we're gonna click on website, and then we're gonna click on site tracking, and then you can see I already have site tracking enabled. So you have to put this setting on to enable site tracking. And then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna fill in your website domain name over here, and you're gonna click on add. So I already added my website, so creatorrag.com. So in the moment you add your website URL to this list, you'll see this tracking code over here. So here it says copy and paste the tracking code into the footer of your website. So you have to copy this code. So there are lots of different ways to add a code to your website. So in my case, I used Google Tag Manager. So to add the tracking code inside Google Tag Manager, you're gonna click on tags, and then over here you can see the tag I added. So ActiveCampaign site tracking. So I'm gonna click on it so you can see how it works. And here you can see the exact code I just copied from the ActiveCampaign website. So how do you add this code inside Google Tag Manager? So I'm gonna close it and I'm gonna re-add it so you can see how it works. So you're gonna click on new over here. So tags and then new. I'm going to click on it. So the first thing we have to do is the tag configuration. So I'm going to click on this pencil icon over here, and I'm going to choose custom HTML. And then in this field, you're going to paste in the code you copied over here. So I'm going to paste it in here. Then we have to set a trigger. So we're going to click on the pencil icon here again. And then I'm going to select all pages. And before I'm going to click on save, I'm going to name this tag. So I'm going to name this ActiveCampaign site tracking. I'm going to call it version 2 because I already have added one. And then you're going to click on save. So this is the one I just added. So since this was only an example and I already added one, I'm going to remove this one. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to click this bin icon and I'm going to say delete. So the moment you added a tag inside Google Tag Manager, you're going to click on submit, because here you can see the changes you made to your current environment, to your current workspace. So those changes aren't immediately visible on the live site, so you have to submit them first. You can also click preview if you want, but in this case I'm going to click on submit to make sure they end up on the live website. So I'm going to click on submit and I'm going to click on publish and I'm going to click on continue. So now you can see a summary over here, so what we've just did. So I'm going to close this and now the site tracking should work. So let's test the site tracking. So I'm going to create a campaign and I'm going to send a newsletter to my email address to see if the site tracking works. So I'm going to click on create a campaign. Site tracking test is what I'm going to call it. I'm going to use a standard campaign. I'm going to click on next over here at the top right corner. Then a subject line, I'm going to call it site tracking test. Create with email designer. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say start from scratch. So the idea of site tracking is that it will only work if you send people to your website from a newsletter you send, because that's the only way that ActiveCampaign, your email newsletter provider, your email newsletter sender, to connect that person that clicks on your email inside your newsletter to your website, right? So I'm just going to send people to the homepage over here. I'm going to copy the homepage and I'm going to make a button over here. I'm going to drop the button and then I'm going to add the URL here. I'm going to give this button a label, go to my website. It doesn't really matter. It's just a test. I'm going to click on the next. Then we have to select a list. I'm going to select the master list and I'm going to segment it because I only want to send an email to my email address. So I'm going to select contact details. Email address is my email address. And I'm going to click on done and I'm going to click on send now. I'm going to click on send now. So your campaign has been sent successfully. So this is the campaign we just sent. So the site tracking test, and here's a link to our website. So this is really important, of course, that there is a link inside this newsletter that redirects you to your website, because else the site tracking won't work. It needs to be from an email to your website. So before I click on this button, I will go to the contact in ActiveCampaign so you have a better understanding of how it works. I'm going to click on ActiveCampaign over here and I'm going to go to contacts. So I'm going to click on lists and I'm going to click on master contact list. And then I'm going to click on that contact I just sent an email to. So as you can see, something changed for this particular contact. So 1 minute ago, a campaign was opened. So there was this campaign. And now the recent activities should change the moment I click on this button. So at that moment, the site tracking should start. So let's click on this button and let's go back to ActiveCampaign. And now you see here, site visited. So that is the site and events tracking. So as you can see, the site tracking works now. So if I go to a different page over here, so let's say if I click the ActiveCampaign review, you'll see over here, if I refresh this page, that this contact has now visited the ActiveCampaign review page. So now that you've got site tracking working, you can get creative with your automated email campaigns. So here is one random idea. So if someone checks out your contact page on your website, but doesn't book a call, you could start an automation based on that visit. And I'm going to show you how to set up an automation in ActiveCampaign that uses site tracking as the starting point for this particular idea. Okay, so to create such an automation, we're going to go to ActiveCampaign and we're going to click on automations and we're going to click on create an automation. I'm going to select start from scratch and then I'm going to select the button continue. I'm going to click on the button continue. So then the trigger for this automation will be web page is visited. I'm going to click on it. So if you want to trigger this automation for one specific web page, then you have to enter the URL of that web page. So for example, if we have this web page over here, so let's say this is our website, we have to use this URL. So this URL, we have to enter that in over here, right? So creatorrec.com/booking page. So depending on what you're trying to do, but let's say you want to send them an email, you probably want to run this automation only once because you don't want to send that same email over and over again the moment they visit your webpage. And then I'm going to click on add start. So I'm going to click on this plus icon over here and I'm going to add a wait action because I want to give them some time to book a call, right? We don't want to send them an email the moment they land on the booking page, immediately book a call with us. So we want to give them some time. So let's say, for example, 3 days to wait for a specific period of time. So let's say 3 days and I'm going to click on save. Then I'm going to click on this plus icon here again. And here I'm going to go to conditions and workflow and the if else action. So I'm going to click on it. So I don't have the Calendly integration enabled, so I cannot really select it over here. So in this example, I'm going to select has not made a purchase, but obviously in this example, you want it to be has not made an appointment yet. So I'm not sure about the exact wording, but probably if you search here on Calendly and you have that integration enabled, something will pop up. So for example, I found this Calendly page and there they have a video where they explain it a little bit. So once someone books a meeting through Calendly, there will be an event and tags will be added to that specific contact. But the idea is that here that you select that they did not book an appointment yet. That's the idea. So I'm going to click on save. So in the case of no, so if they did not book an appointment yet, then we want to send them an email. So I'm going to click on this plus icon over here and I'm going to go to sending options and then send an email. So in this email, we want to trigger them to book a call with us or at least ask why they did not book a call with us. So I'm going to click on save and design later because this is just an example so you know what to do. So the yes path, so if they did book a call with us, so you could end this automation. So you could say conditions and workflow, end this automation because we probably have another automation already running for the ones that did book a call with us, right? So this automation isn't relevant to those kinds of people that already booked a call with us. And in regards to this path over here, so the no path, you can obviously continue this path as long as you wish. So for example, you could add another wait period over here, and then you can make another if-else condition over here with another email. So obviously this is just an example, but this is one way how you can use the site tracking feature inside ActiveCampaign. So one quick note about site tracking and the GDPR. So obviously the way we just set it up with Google Tag Manager, as the way I did it in this tutorial, the moment someone visits our webpage, we aren't asking them if they agree with us tracking them. So if you want to follow the GDPR rules, you should use some kind of consent banner. So the banner you see on this example, this is a cookie banner, and you want to add that site tracking code behind one of these buttons, right? So you make sure you follow the GDPR rules. If you want me to create a video around GDPR and how to include ActiveCampaign scripts into that cookie banner, please let me know down below in the comments, and maybe I'll create such a video in the near future for you guys. So now we're going to look at ActiveCampaign's sales tools like the pipeline and deals features. I'll use a real-life coaching business as an example that sells a coaching program for $3,000. So in this tutorial, I'll show you how to build a pipeline, connect a scheduling tool like Calendly for booking calls, and automate creating deals in ActiveCampaign. But before we dive into that, let me first give you some more background on the example case study. So I like to work with real life examples so you guys get a better understanding how it works. So the first step over here at the top left corner, you see a YouTube ad. I came across this YouTube ad from someone who sells coaching programs. So he offers a program to help other coaches improve their business and earn more money by using YouTube ads to create a sales funnel. So that's basically the first step, as you can see over here. So the ad encourages people to sign up for a webinar. So if I click this link over here, he encourages me to sign up for his webinar. So that could be free or paid. So in this case, it is a paid webinar that costs $7. So this is the landing page. And after the webinar, so in this step over here, he invites his audience to book a call with him. So call booked or no call booked, right? So two options. So keep in mind, he doesn't try to sell his program on the webinar. He tries to sell his program on the call booked. So during that call, he will make an offer. And of course, during that call, he also tries to find out whether that person is a good fit for his program. So if it's not a good fit, that person will end up in the bucket, not a good fit, right? So then we also have two other buckets. So offer declined, so that person can, of course, decline the offer. So I now see I have two declines. So let's make this offer accepted. So of course the person can accept the offer or decline the offer. And if we go to this ActiveCampaign tab over here, so this is ActiveCampaign's pipeline feature, so the sales features. And to get started with the deals feature, you're gonna simply click on deals over here. And then over here you can create a new pipeline, so add a pipeline. Or you can just edit the default pipeline. That's what I did. You can click on this gear icon over here and you're going to click on options and you can rename the pipeline name. Here you can also change the currency if you want. So in this case, I'm going to click on save. So if I'm correct, the default pipeline has 3 stages. So every block you see over here, so every column, that's basically a different stage. So if I click here at the top right corner, I can add a new stage and I can name the stage whatever I want. So test stage, for example, I can also give it a color and I'm going to click on add. And as you can see, now the new stage is added at the end over here, and I can just grab it and I can rearrange the order of the stages. In this case, I don't need this stage, so I'm going to remove it again. I'm going to click on the gear icon over here and I'm going to click on delete this stage. Yes, I want to delete this stage. So I created these 6 stages for a coaching business. So this is, of course, just an example just to give you a better understanding of how it works. In my brain, it always works better if I see a real example instead of just using a default template of ActiveCampaign. So the first stage is no call booked. The second stage is call booked. And then we have offer made. Then we have offer declined. So I made this one a red color. So if you click this gear icon, you can edit this stage. You can change the color over here. You can also change the column width if you want. I'm going to click on cancel. And then we have offer accepted. So I made this a green one. So that's obviously what we want, right? And then we have not a good fit. Then inside these stages, you can see we have 2 deals. So every row basically inside a stage is called a deal. So if I click on a deal over here, so as you can see, This is called Robin Calendly. If I click on it, so here you can see the deal value is $3,000. So this could be, for example, your coaching program price, right? So every new deal that enters your pipeline has a value of $3,000 because your coaching program costs $3,000. So as you can see this stage, so we have a call booked for these 2 deals. So the total value of this current stage is $6,000, right? So here you can see what the total value is of this particular stage in the pipeline. And if we go back to this overview real quick, so during the webinar, so near the end of the webinar, this person tries to invite you to book a call with him. So here we have a page, for example, book a call. So please book a call below. And he's using the Calendly integration to book a call, right? So if I click on one of these dates, I can book a call with him, and that's the idea, right? So for this example, I also created an account with Calendly. So this is my Calendly page, and I integrated Calendly with ActiveCampaign. So if we go back to ActiveCampaign, and that's the beauty of ActiveCampaign. So if you go to apps over here, you can see they have a lot of different integrations. So that saves you money, for example, to purchase a paid plan for Zapier. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Zapier. So in this case, I'm going to click on Calendly and I'm going to search Calendly. And here we have the Calendly integration. So as you can see, I already connected Calendly with ActiveCampaign. As you can see, I already have my Calendly account connected. Do keep in mind to automate things with Calendly and ActiveCampaign. So if you want to automate certain things in ActiveCampaign, which we are doing right now, if you want to automate things, you have to be at least on the standard plan. So if you have a free Calendly plan, you cannot automate things with ActiveCampaign. Also, I tried using Zapier, for example, with Calendly, and also that doesn't work if you are on the free plan. So just so you know, you have to be on a standard plan at least to make it work with ActiveCampaign. So if you want to connect your Calendly account, you're going to click on Add an Account at the top right corner over here. Then it asks you to log in to Calendly, and it also asks you for the ActiveCampaign API data. And to find your ActiveCampaign API data, we're going to click on this bottom left gear icon over here, and we're going to go to Developer. And here we have the API access. So the Calendly integration asks for the URL. So you're going to copy the URL over here, and it asks for the key, and you're going to copy it as well. And you're going to enter that into the integration with Calendly. So when you're setting up that integration, so I'm going to click on Edit over here. When you're setting up that integration, you'll end up in the mapping step over here. And this is what they called field mapping. And here you're going to connect the Calendly data. So for example, the email, the first name with the ActiveCampaign data. So if I click on this Calendly tab over here, so this is my booking page on Calendly. So if I click a certain date, so for example, February 9, and if I click a time and I click on next, here you can see I need to enter the details, the name, and the email address, and I can share anything that will help prepare for our meeting. So there are 3 data points a person can add when booking a meeting with me. So if we go back to the ActiveCampaign tab over here, you can see that I have the email connected with email, the first name with first name, and then please share anything that will help prepare for our meeting. I created a custom field for that. So to create a custom field, we're going to go to ActiveCampaign and we're going to click on Contacts. And then the next step is you're going to click on Fields. And here you're going to click on Add a New Field. So here you can see the Calendly custom field I created. Also make sure you're on the Contacts tab and not on Deals or Accounts. So when you're on Contacts, you're going to click on Add a New Field. So what I did, I started it with Calendly. So I know exactly that this field belongs to the Calendly. And then I just copied and pasted this text over here into this field over here. So it's just the exact same thing. And then as field type, I used text area. And then I'm going to click on add. So when you added your custom fields, you can refresh this page and then you can select the custom fields you created in here. So you can map this Calendly custom field with this one, so that data will be saved into your account. And just to show you how it looks, so if I click this deal over here, so this is an example. So this is the deal page over here. And as you can see, this is the contact that is related to this deal. And it might be a little bit confusing. This name over here, as you can see, I'm just going to copy it. And what I did here for testing, I added this in the name field. As you can see, this is the email address. So this is what I did basically. So I used this email address and I've used this name, and that is the contact that is created over here. So if I click on this contact, here you see the custom field that we just created. And as an example, I added please share stuff here. So this is what I added in here, right? So just for testing purposes, I added these 3 things. And as you can see, this is how it looks. So if one of your sales employees, or maybe you are that sales employee, you can check all that data inside ActiveCampaign the moment you're preparing for that call with this specific person. That's the idea, right? And then over here at the top left corner, you will see the old deal. So we can go back to that deal. So you can click on this deal. So you can go back to the deals tab. Over here, we can go back to the type line at the top left corner. So that's basically how it works with the field mapping. So when you're done field mapping, you're going to click on finish, and then you should be good to go. And just for example purposes, I'm going to show you how this works. So I'm going to fill in the name Robin Mario. And then for email address, I'm going to use this email address. And this is also a really good thing to note. So if you have your email address, so my regular email address is this, but for testing purposes, it's obviously really nice that you can just use that same email address over and over again, right? So if you add that +1 or +2 or plus whatever, ActiveCampaign sees it as a new email address, but it's basically the same email address for you. So you don't have to create a new email address over and over again if you want to test if your integrations are working correctly. So just for example purposes, I'm going to enter here, share, whatever. And then I'm going to click on schedule event. You are scheduled. So now I'm going to go back to ActiveCampaign and I'm going to click on contacts and then on lists. And then I'm going to go to my list over here. I'm going to click on it. And here you can see the person that just scheduled a call with us. That is this person, right? Also, if we're going to click on deals over here, so I'm going to click on deals, you'll see that there's a new deal added to the call booked stage over here. That is this deal. And this is an automation inside ActiveCampaign. So this is the automation you'll see here on the screen that enables the automatic deal creation when someone books a call with us. So when a Calendly event is created, so that is the trigger for this automation, a new deal is added inside our pipeline. So if you have your Calendly integration enabled, you can just click on add a new trigger and you can search for Calendly over here at the top right corner, or you can go to apps and then click Calendly, and there you see the 2 Calendly options you have with automations. So Calendly event is created. That is the one I clicked on, and that is this one. So if I click on it, here you see which Calendly events can trigger this automation. So I have all Calendly events. So I'm going to click on save. Then we have this next step over here. So I'll show you where to find this one. So if you click on the plus icon over here, and you're going to click on CRM, and here it says add a deal, and that is the one I use. So then as the deal title, I've used the first name. So that is the first name people fill in. So if I click on this back icon here again, so that is the name people enter here in this field in the Calendly form. So to find this one, you're going to just click on the personalize the deal field, and then you're going to select this drop-down list over here, and then you're going to enter first name. So that's what I did. Then over here, you can enter a value. So if your coaching program is $3,000, then you can enter that $3,000 over here. So that, again, this is just an example, of course. Then you're going to select the pipeline. So in this case, it's the coaching pipeline. And then you're going to select the stage. So in this case, it is call booked, right? So that person booked a call with us. So I want them in the stage call booked. Then the owner of this deal. So if you have multiple sales employees, for example, you can select a different person, right? So in this case, I'm going to click on save. And then we have another step over here, which I'll explain right now. So if we go back to the pipeline over here, and we're going to select the deal we just created. So the person that just booked a call with us. So I'm going to click on it. And first things first, if I click on this contact over here, so that is the person that booked the call with us, right? So this is the deal. So this is the deal template, so the deal page. And here we have the contact, so the person that booked the call with us. So if I click on this contact, as I showed you earlier, so here you see the contact information, of course. Here you see the Calendly information that he shared with us. So this is the field we mapped, right, with the integration with Calendly. And here you see the Calendly event. So this is the event date and time of our call. So our call date. So you can also click on details over here. You'll see more details, as you can see. And here you see the recent activities, which you're already familiar with probably if you saw the other videos of my ActiveCampaign tutorial. And one thing you'll see is that there is a task added. So ActiveCampaign allows you to create tasks for your sales employees or for yourself. So if I go back to the all deals page over here, so all deals, and I'm going to click on the deal. So here you can see the open tasks for this specific deal. I can also see all my tasks as a sales employee. So I am the deal owner of this, and I also have an account inside ActiveCampaign, and I can see tasks that are assigned to me. So this task is assigned to Robin, that is me. So if I click on tasks over here, I see all my tasks. So let's have a look at the task that was just created when someone booked a call with us. So I'm going to click on this task. And when you click on the task, as you can see, the deal page will open. So here we can click on the task again if you want to read the rest of the information over here. So this is what the task is. So this is, of course, again, an example task. And it's just to show you how automation works inside ActiveCampaign. But let's explain the task. So decide the next stage for the deal. So the task description, this deal should move to one of the 4 next stages: offer made, offer declined, offer accepted, or not a good fit. So if we go to the pipeline here again, so after the call is made, the salesperson that spoke to that specific person should move this deal to one of these other 4 stages, right? So that salesperson either made an offer during that call. So it's possible that the person that booked the call with us isn't sure yet whether he wants to decline the offer or accept the offer or thinks he's not a good fit. It's also possible that during the call, the person that our sales employee spoke to declined the offer already. So in that case, you want to move this specific deal to the stage offer declined. If the person you spoke with accepted the offer immediately during the call, you can move the deal stage to offer accepted. And then lastly, we have not a good fit. So if you notice during the call that person you're speaking to isn't really a good fit for that coaching program, you're going to move that deal to not a good fit. So let's open a deal. And let's say, for example purposes, we have had the call and we're going to change the stage to offer accepted. So the person accepted the offer of our coaching program during the call. So you can change the stage over here. I can click on it and change it to offer accepted. You can also go back to deals and just grab the deal and you're going to move it to offer accepted. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to do it. So if I click on the deal again, so then the next thing ActiveCampaign allows us to do is to change the status of our deals. So over here now, the deal is still open, but we can change it to won or lost. So in this case, this specific deal is won. So he accepted our offer. He bought our coaching program. So I'm going to click on won and I'm going to click on save changes. So now you see the color of the 3K changed in green. We can see the recent activity. So this status changed to won. And we can also click the icon over here. So the check mark, because we moved the deal to the next stage, right? So I'm going to click on it and now the task is completed. So there are no open tasks any longer for this specific deal. And going back to the automatic tasks. So if I click on this tab over here, so this is the automation we created for creating a deal. And here we see this tab, right? So this is enter the automation, add tasks, decide deal stage. So this is another automation I created, which is this automation. It's really simple. So there is no start trigger over here, as you can see, because the trigger of this specific automation is this step over here. So what does this automation do? It just add a task. So if I click on this plus icon here again, so I'm going to click on CRM, so add a deal task. So the task title is decide the next stage for the deal. Then we have a task description. So this deal should move to one of the 4 next stages, as I just showed you earlier. And then we have a task type. So this is a custom task type I created. So the default task types are these 4. So call, email, lunch, and meeting. And I created this custom task type. So to create a custom task type, you're going to click on deals over here, and then you're going to go to task settings. And as you can see over here, I added the custom task type. And to add a new task type, you're going to click on add a task type over here. And as you can see, now a new field appears where you can just enter a new task type. Make sure to click save changes when you've done so. So once you've added that custom task type, as I just did over here, you can refresh this page and select the update deal stage. So here you need to decide what sales agent you want to assign this specific task to. So in this case, I'm going to say deal owner. Then I have 0 minutes, then affects the most recent deal for this contact, and then the pipeline, any pipeline. And I'm going to click on save. And that's basically it. And I'm going to end the automation. So again, this is the trigger for this automation, right? So you don't have to select the trigger over here because this step over here is the trigger for this automation. So if you're going to click on this plus icon here and you go to conditions and workflow, here you see start an automation. Here you can select the automation and then you can select the automation that you want to start. And as I said in other videos for the ActiveCampaign tutorial, make sure to give your automations a good recognizable name so you know what automation to select here. Especially if you have automations working together like these 2, make sure to give them a proper name. So I call them automation 29.9 and this one 29.2, right? So I know they're working together. And then the last step is end this automation. So to give you a summary of what we just did, so we integrated Calendly with ActiveCampaign with the Calendly integration. So we did the field mapping, so the data they enter in these fields will be connected to ActiveCampaign. So then we created this automation so we don't have to manually create a deal when someone booked a call with us. And then also we created this automation to automatically add a task to make sure the sales agent follows up on the person that booked a call with us, to make sure that sales agent makes a decision about what the next step is for that particular deal. And again, these are just examples, of course. You can go as far as you want. So for example, you can also create an automation the moment someone moves to a different stage. So for example, if you say offer accepted, so if you move a specific deal to offer accepted, you can create an automation that a one-on-one email is sent to that specific contact. So obviously when someone accepts your coaching program and buys your coaching program, you want to send them probably an email with login details or whatever things you have for your coaching program. What are the next steps? You want to send them probably a one-on-one email. So to do so, you can do that in ActiveCampaign as well. So if I click on the contact and if I scroll down here a little bit and here you'll see emails. If I click on emails, here you can click on send an email. And here you can send that person a one-on-one email. So this is not a newsletter email like a broadcast. No, this is a one-on-one email. So if you want, you can create a new automation, for example, add a start trigger. And then for the trigger, you're going to select a stage. So for example, deal stage changes. So when a contact moves from stage, any stage to stage, for example, offer accepted, I want to trigger this automation. So I'm going to click on add start. And then for the action, I want to send a one-on-one email. So in this email, I want to send the instructions for how that person can get started with my coaching program, because that person accepted my coaching program, right? He bought my program. I now want to send him a one-on-one email. So there are so many possibilities how you can automate things with ActiveCampaign. And these are just some random examples I created. Hopefully now you get a better understanding of how the pipeline feature works with ActiveCampaign, the tasks and the automations, and how a third-party tool like Calendly works with ActiveCampaign. And before you head out, consider signing up for my newsletter. I send you an email when there is something new that ActiveCampaign users like you will find useful. Of course, you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, but just a heads up, it's not all about ActiveCampaign on my YouTube channel. So I cover other software too, which might not be your thing. So if you sign up for my newsletter, I can segment my newsletter when I send a new email based on what interests you, instead of just sending a random email to everyone. And sadly, that's not possible with YouTube. Do keep in mind, my newsletter is not a frequent newsletter, so don't expect a weekly newsletter from me. But when you do get an email from me, it'll be hopefully just as good as this tutorial you finished watching. Thank you. Bye-bye.